What were you doing before that happened?
Adam Curry, John C. Dvorak.
It's Sunday, May 6, 2018. This is your award-winning Gimmo Nation Media Assassination, episode 1031.
This is No Agenda.
Following fur babies from coast to coast and broadcasting live from the capital of the Drone Star State here in downtown Austin, Tejas, in the Cludio. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where I can see the Salesforce building high above everything else, I'm John C. Dvorak.
It's Crackpot and Buzzkill in the morning.
Is it with the pretty lights once again today, the Salesforce building?
They don't light it up during the day.
Oh. I heard they had really pretty lights the other day.
Yeah, they have pretty lights, and they're going to show movies, apparently.
What? Movies on the building?
Well, they're going to do a light show. At the top of the building, there's this last 10 stories, I think. There's this kind of a structure that is...
yeah, it's like a pyramid. Illuminati.
It's not like a pyramid. It's like a big... It's like, I don't know how to describe it.
It's a pyramid. It's an Illuminati cap.
What's a cap? Yeah. And so this cap is apparently see-through, and they're going to show light shows, and it's going to be a big distraction for airplanes.
Yeah, sure. No more than that thing in Vegas when you fly over it. The Luxor.
Oh, the beam?
The Luxor. It reaches to the moon. Every Southwest pilot will tell you. You can see that beam from the moon.
Maybe you can.
I was thinking, as we didn't talk about this bombing that took place in Kabul, in Afghanistan.
Right.
A couple days ago, and now the news is coming out, or maybe the news was out. I didn't see it because, I'm sorry, we have no news.
No, there's too much Stormy Daniels stuff breaking.
Stormy breaking. But like 9 journalists were killed. Did you hear what happened? Like, so the first suicide bomber in this, of course, it's always a marketplace, whatever street he's in. He blows himself up.
The whole town is marketplace.
It's all marketplace. And then, everyone's rushing to help. You got the fire department, rescue workers, and the journalists. And then a second suicide bomber, dressed like a journalist with credentials, and I think he had a notepad. He blows himself up in the midst of the reporters. And I was thinking, this was the week I was supposed to be in Afghanistan. Now, I don't know if I would have been at some event somewhere, covering explosions, but...
Seems unlikely.
But it doesn't seem like it's not a good feeling that I could have been there. Yeah, it's not. And of course, you feel bad for everybody. But damn. I was counting my lucky stars.
Maybe they thought that you were there, going to be there.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, I don't think so.
Oh.
Wait, well, we might as well talk about Stormy. Since that's
stormy weather.
Well, she finally admitted it. I was so happy.
What?
She admitted it.
Admitted what?
Oh, what this is all about. Did you?
About the midterms is what everything's about.
Well, yeah, of course, but does she not have a defamation lawsuit against Trump? What is the nature of her lawsuit?
I'm gonna hate to say this. But I have not followed it, and I don't really care.
All right. Well, the only reason I ask is...
Now your beat.
Oh, please. All right.
Sorry.
Okay, I got some. The Cold Open, as they call it, on SNL, Saturday Night Live, which was a pretty good show with Childish Gambino. I like him. Donald Glover, I think his name.
Is that the guy who was singing the Calypso song in the middle of the thing?
I must have fallen asleep during the Calypso song. I don't remember the Calypso song.
Maybe
anyway,
it was the problem is the NBC is so hard up for entertainment that on Saturday nights they play like 3 of these shows in a row.
Oh, okay. So this is the regular time slot, okay. And they had a star-studded opening with of course Alec Baldwin as Trump. They had Ben Stiller came in as Trump's lawyer.
This wasn't a rerun you were watching?
Oh no, I don't think so. No, definitely not a rerun. And so then they're talking to the president about Stormy. What are we going to do? And then Ben Stiller decides to call Stormy, played by Stormy herself.
Stormy, this is Michael Cohen. Are you alone?
Yes.
And what are you wearing?
Excuse me?
Okay, Michael, I can take it from here.
Okay, but as your attorney, I highly advise against you.
So what up, girl?
Hello, Donald.
Come on, Stormy, stop making such a big deal about this. Everyone knows it's just an act.
I work in adult films. We're not really known for our acting.
Hey-o.
Just tell me, what do you need for this to all go away?
A resignation?
There it is. Now, I don't know what her lawsuit is about, but she says, I just want a resignation. Seems pretty clear to me.
Yeah, that's probably pretty much it.
Pretty much, or at least the talk of a resignation up until the 2018 midterm elections. But this is being taken so seriously. All these problems, because, of course, the president is lying. He's certainly lying about this.
He might be lying, but nobody's dying.
That's like eating ain't cheating. I'm not quite sure what you're trying to say with that.
Well, what I'm saying is that this is the phrase that was used during the Clinton impeachment.
That's right. That's
and
right.
And they would always say
Lewinsky.
that he might be lying, but nobody's dying about Clinton, but apparently it doesn't apply to Trump.
Well, the problem that happened here is the president's new addition to his legal team, former New York Mayor Rudy Giuliani, went on Hannity's show and kind of blew the lid off of the whole FEC, that would be the Federal Election Commission, questions about the Stormy Daniels payment, if that was somehow an illegal campaign contribution. It's kind of like trying to get Al Capone on tax evasion. So, okay, we can get him now. We can get him on this illegal campaign contribution. And Giuliani and Trump is now pretending that this was a mistake and he hadn't quite read it on the facts. But I think this was very deliberate, just to silence it once and for all. And of course, it doesn't really silence it. It makes it worse for the president because there's all kinds of lying going on, which seems to happen with guys who screw around in their marriages.
Having something to do with paying some Stormy Daniels woman $130,000, I mean, which is going to turn out to be perfectly legal. That money was not campaign money. Sorry, I'm giving you a fact now that you don't know. It's not campaign money. No campaign finance violation. So
they funneled it through the law firm.
Funneled through the law firm, and the president repaid it.
Oh, I didn't know he did.
Yeah.
There's no campaign finance law.
Zero.
So the president,
just like Sean.
So this decision was made by
everybody. Everybody was nervous about this from the very beginning. I wasn't. I knew how much money Donald Trump put into that campaign. I said $130,000. He's going to do a couple of checks for $130,000. When I heard nice. Cohen's retainer of $35,000 when he was doing no work for the president, I said, but that's how he's repaying. That's how he's repaying it.
Oh,
with a little profit and a little margin for paying taxes for Michael.
But do you know the president didn't know about this? I believe that's what
he didn't
Michael
know about
said.
the specifics of it, as far as I know. But he did know about the general arrangement that Michael would take care of things like this, like I take care of things like this for my clients.
Nice.
I don't burden them with every single thing that comes along.
Oh, what a life. Wouldn't that be nice to have a guy just fix things for you?
Fixer. Now we know Giuliani was a fixer.
Yeah, he still is a fixer from what I just heard. And he's trying to fix this situation.
He's trying to fix this. But the thing that was interesting in that was he said that it's not as though Trump wrote a check for $135,000. He was just overpaying him a retainer.
Yeah, he says the retainer.
Month after month
the retainer covered it. Yeah.
But But $35,000 for a guy like Trump for a retainer for some lawyer is not out of the ordinary.
Oh yeah, sure. I'm sure it is, or it isn't. But no, it's beyond the point. He's caught in a lie.
No, I think it is kind of the point because I think there's a difference between overpaying some guy a retainer or giving him a check for $135 to cover Stormy Daniels, whatever that was.
Yeah, well, we really don't know. And what this does...
And I really don't care.
No, I don't care either. And what it does is it really brings everything back to the Trump rotation, and now it's the lies and the lies. And man, the honeymoon was short for Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Sarah. But after she was excoriated by Michelle Wolf during the White House Correspondents' Dinner, everyone had sympathy, and man, poor Sarah, that she was so brave, and she took it like a real true woman. Well, that didn't last very long. Now, as far as everyone's concerned, it's completely over with her. There's nothing left. She has lost all credibility.
Sarah Sanders said today, and I'm quoting here, "I would always advise against giving false information." And yet there's the question, David, of how can we trust anything we're hearing when this president has such a blatant disregard for the truth?
Well, and of course, if the president does, then that affects the people who speak on his behalf. Circle May 3rd on your calendar, because this is the day that we will look back on in this briefing where Sarah Sanders made it so painfully clear that she has lost credibility with the American people, with the reporters in that room. She completely would sidestep and say that she could only give the best information she has. She was acknowledging to Jim Acosta's questioning that she came out and provided incorrect information. Well, when the spokesperson for the President of the United States of America comes to that podium and provides incorrect, false, bad information, they have no credibility to continue with that job. I'm not suggesting she's on her way out. I'm sure Sarah Sanders will stay there because she's pleasing an audience of one. But she has acknowledged that she can only go out there with information the best available. If the best available...
My God, this is a revelation. John, have you ever heard of such craziness? That the White House
She's
spokesperson...
lost credibility with the American public. I don't think half the American public knows who she is. We've been following these different guys that have been running this.
They all lie. That's
they
their
all
job.
lie.
That's their job. And eventually they get pushed out. That's what happened with the other guys. And this guy is staying on. But, they're on the war path for her. Yes, we have April Ryan, social justice warrior extraordinaire of the White House press corps. Here she is grilling Sarah. And pay attention to the words she uses.
So, Sarah, at this point, can you tell us definitively if the president plans to answer any questions from Bob Mueller? And if not, what is now in place here at the White House to go through that process of a subpoena, a possible indictment, a possible grand jury?
Again, those are all questions you would need to refer to the outside counsel.
Okay, well, now going to Rudy Giuliani. Did Rudy Giuliani do harm to the president today and last night in his conversations to Fox?
I don't believe so.
And are you,
sorry, I'm going to take the last question like I promised to do.
Why didn't he talk to the White House press office about his impacting stellar statements about what was happening?
The White House press office wouldn't coordinate with the president's outside legal team on legal strategy.
You said yourself you were blindsided.
I actually didn't use that term.
Well, I said it, but you were blindsided from what you said.
Well,
I like how there's a little chuckling there when she says, you were blindsided by this. She says, I didn't actually say that. She says, well, I'm saying it. And then the press corps is chuckling. They wrangled it away from her credibility. They just were there to just wreak havoc on her.
Blindsided.
I actually didn't use that term.
Well, I said it, but you were blindsided from what you said.
Well, with all due respect, you actually don't know much about me in terms of what I feel and what I don't.
21 years to understand how this operates.
All right, I think we're good.
Banner.
Now, the way I heard this was she said, April Ryan said, you were blindsided. Then Sarah Sanders says, I didn't say that. And she says, yeah, but you were, that's what I'm saying, you were blindsided. And then Sarah Sanders says, well, with all respect, you don't really know much about me, so you don't know if I was blindsided or not. But this is how it played out when April Ryan immediately rushed out to go on to CNN.
Well, I'm just leaving the briefing room, and I had to decompress.
I need to take a moment for myself. It was just so tense in there.
I have the vapors.
It was so intense there inside.
Well, I'm just leaving the briefing room, and I had to decompress. It was a moment. She took this personally, and it was not a personal attack. She admitted at that podium just moments ago, and I'm sure she's...
Yeah, I think it was a personal attack if she said, well, I'm saying you felt that. Isn't that literally a personal attack?
Yeah, I think it was a personal attack, but I think half of these people are doing that constantly. But you let her finish. I want to hear what she says.
At that podium just moments ago, and I'm sure she's watching in her office. Hi, Sarah.
Doubt it.
She literally said...
You talked over it. She said she actually did a shout out.
In her office. Hi, Sarah. She literally said at that podium that she heard Rudy Giuliani while we heard it. She was watching. She found out information while she was watching Fox last night. So she was blindsided. This was not a personal attack on her. And for her to say something like, you don't know me, that was very street.
What?
Okay.
Street?
Yeah. So this is a racial thing, which makes it that much better. It's coming from April Ryan. Sarah Sanders clearly said, with all due respect, you don't know who I am. You don't know anything about me. April Ryan took it to, this is a black girl's fighting language, which is, you don't watch Real Housewives. It's not even black. It's Real Housewives of fill in the blank. You don't know me.
It's low rent stuff.
Yeah, you don't know me. You don't know me. Oh, yeah, you don't know me.
Yeah, it's low rent stuff. But here's what I don't get. The Bush administration, I think the Clinton administration to a lesser extent, and most of these guys, the Reagans for sure, they just ban these people. They don't let them into the briefing anymore. I don't understand why this woman, April, is in it all. She shouldn't be in there. They just pull her credentials.
Yeah.
If she's going to pull this crap, she's going to go do a kind of an ambush and then make all these accusations and then go on the air immediately to kind of mock her. Pull her credentials. What does it take to do that?
And I think they will do that, but they'll wait a little bit because that would,
I don't think so.
That would, the Trump rotation right now is he lies. We went from Stormy, now it's back to he lies, and that would pull it too quickly.
No one dies.
He lies. He's filled with lies. That's on our list. It's in the rotation.
No one dies.
Yes. And from there, we can't just immediately go to, you're blocking, First Amendment, censorship, because that's what it will be. But here's the interesting thing. Just regarding this one particular...
Sending a message is not the same. It's not the First Amendment. She can still do her reporting. She just can't come into that room.
You're arguing with me about something that is not to be argued. This is what the mainstream media will do. You know that.
Well, they can do all they want, but there's a counter-argument to all of it.
Of course there is. Here's the best counter-argument to this whole Stormy Daniels affair. The Federal Election Commission sued the Obama administration as during the 2008 presidential campaign, the campaign Obama for America, fraudulently accepted over $1.2 million in campaign funds. They were fined for that, $375,000, and everyone went on their merry way. There's a just monetary difference between, $130,000 if it were truly a campaign finance issue. But these things are not really impeachable offenses, it appears to me, looking at history. Or you can't go to jail. Okay, well, we messed up. We didn't do it right. The Obama administration had 60 days to fix this. They didn't. And they got a fine. And I didn't even know what happened. I don't remember any reporting on it.
There was none. There was no reason for it.
No, exactly. Because
it wasn't a Republican.
But when you hear like the Morning Joes, man, they had a meltdown. What's the guy's name? What's his name? I love this guy.
You're going to go nuts listening to this stuff.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's my MSNBC is my beat. This is Barnacle. Yeah. What's his name? Joe Barnacle, I think. Here's his take. Here's his take on all of this.
Mika, we understandably talk about this every day, multiple times a day, because there's just a literal tsunami, a fire hydrant of false information.
Fire hydrant.
Coming from this White House every day. But it's larger than that, and the problem, the threat, and the danger is much larger than just the White House and just us talking about it. It's what happens out in the country, people dealing every day with the normalization of lies and deception coming from the President of the United States and those who represent the President of the United States. And people get used to it. And people slowly turn off what they hear. And it doesn't impact people. And
what's fun about this is you could easily
apply... Mike Barnacle.
Oh, Mike, yeah. You could easily apply this to the M5M. It's, people hear lies, they slowly tune out, yes.
They end up not really caring
about
the fact that the President of the United States is a liar and that people who represent him lie on a daily basis. This is how democracies die. Woo! Slowly, right in front of us.
That's right. How come we're not...
Let's bring in Arnold Toynbee and ask him about it.
Who is that?
is a great, famous historian that documented the rise and fall of civilization.
Every single day, deception and lies become normal.
Mike, I'll take it one step. It's worse than normal. It's becoming elevated. If Donald Trump continues to stay in office and succeed, and if Donald Trump wins the Nobel Peace Prize, not only have we normalized lying, we are celebrating and saying, that's the way to the top.
Ooh, don't give it away. Don't give away the big secret.
So they're trying to get. So they're doing some I guess preliminary discussions. They're trying to build a base so when he gets the Nobel Peace Prize, which he will inevitably get if the North Korea South Korea thing is resolved.
Right.
In fact, I think he's halfway there already with this peace agreement, ending the war that's been going on technically since the 50s or the 40s. I guess the 50s. He's going to get it. So they have to lay the groundwork for how to deal with this, because the general public's not going to hear any of this stuff. Nobody listens to Morning Joe except politicos. And so the public, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. Let's vote him in for another term.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know what to do about it. They're beside themselves. And it's just, I don't really.
Although I think the lying meme of all of them is very powerful, because you get a lot of kids, like they'll be very confused. I guarantee you with this, the lying meme now going into full spin top rotation, probably what we'll see is notes from, kids writing to the president or to their, writing an essay, something like in crayon. I don't understand why, Mr. President, why you lie. I mean, something like that. My mommy tells me lying is bad. Watch, that's coming.
Yes, I think that prediction is valid.
Yeah.
And it would be coming, and it would be a book would come out. Letters to the president.
Yeah. A children's book.
Yeah.
Lies to the president. Yes. Yes, very good. Pachene called me yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Our PsyOp master, Dr. Steve Pachene.
Yeah, and you're his current one of his
outlets.
Your target.
He's psyoping me, of course. There's nothing.
Luckily, we have kind of a meta approach to these things.
Yes, we do have some.
We will now have a report.
Yeah, well, we talked about a number of things, but the main thing I was interested in, of course, was Iran. I said, what are we doing? Are we going for regime change? Actually, I think, wasn't it? Yes, I think it was Rudy who even said this.
I have been in support of regime change for, Ali Reza, I don't know how long. 10 years. I continue to be. I think it's the only way to peace in the Middle East. It's more important than an Israeli-Palestinian deal. I think one could happen if you didn't have. Iran used to be an ally of not only the United States, but of Israel. That could happen again. You're seeing Egypt becoming an ally of Saudi Arabia and Israel, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Qatar. This could really spread.
So,
wait, stop. I love this idea. Giuliani is a master anyway, but
it could really
spread.
This
idea of rewriting history and saying that Iran was an ally. Yeah. When they were run by the Shah, who was put in place by the CIA. Yes, they were an ally.
Yeah.
It's hardly really an ally, but okay.
Hey, he's a fixer. This is what he does. He goes out and fixes history. If it's no good, we just fix that history.
Yeah.
So I say, is that what we're going to do? And Pachene launches into this tirade. He said, no, we can't do regime change. He says, we don't have a single person in intelligence who speaks Farsi. We don't have, there's no military who can even point to Tehran on the map. He says, we have absolutely no good. We can't do it. He says, we're also not going to do it. So what are you talking about? He says, this is the same. He said, he was like frustrated with me. This is the same. Don't you see what happened with North Korea, he says? I said, yeah. He said, well, if that deal goes through, then what Trump is doing is just his art of the deal, making a big fist, like, we're going to take you over, regime change, we're going to kill you, we're going to bomb you. He says he doesn't want that. Boeing is in there. We've got all kinds of American companies. All he wants is cooperation. They're probably not even going to, kill the deal. It's just a renegotiation, according to Pachene. I said, well, look at what Netanyahu is doing with his library and all this stuff they have. He says, He says, Israel is one of the few countries that actually does throw their leaders in jail. That you can't say that for the United States. I said, no, I guess not. He says, Bibi Netanyahu is going to jail, and he's doing anything he can, taking any opportunity to cover up the problems he's having domestically. And so he's yelling as loudly as possible and making everyone afraid of a pending war with Iran so that he can delay whatever is going on with him going to jail, I think for some significant corruption, like $100 million or something.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. And
Netanyahu is acting a little squirrely.
A little. And so I kind of like that theory. Like, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Just more, well, I did check. We do have Boeing in there.
Oh, no, Boeing's there. They sell jets to their airline operation.
Yeah,
sure.
They're doing all kinds of stuff there.
Yeah.
So,
Boeing doesn't want anything bad to happen.
But as we get near...
And then apparently Kerry, according to some reports, mostly on Fox.
Yeah, he's still negotiating. What is the point? Why is he even... does he want to pop up all of a sudden and say, I've done it! I've saved the day!
I have no idea. It's a violation of the Logan Act, but nobody's making a fuss. I have no idea what he's up to.
What is the Logan Act again? Because the president was accused of this.
The Logan Act is that you, as a private citizen, cannot represent the United States government in foreign affairs.
Huh. Well, he doesn't represent the United States government, so
he's acting as a representative of the government.
Okay, so if you pretend, that's how it works. If you pretend, then you're violating the Logan Act. There must be some technicalities to it.
Oh, I haven't read the act. It's an old act. It's archaic.
Yeah,
and no one's ever been charged with anything. And I think a lot of ex-presidents have done stuff that would be a violation, but they either got to get rid of the act, repeal it, or charge someone. I mean, they kind of use it to leverage Michael Flynn.
Yeah, who is now filing a motion to have his confession erased from the record.
Huh.
And I think it will be based on what we saw happen.
Well, Manafort is also working on within the system to get his stuff dropped. There's a good report I have here. This is the Manafort update. It's worth listening to.
Okay.
Former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort arriving in federal court today to try to get this one case thrown out. Inside the courtroom, Judge T.S. Ellis asking what the special counsel's indictment of Manafort for alleged financial crimes has to do with Mueller's primary mission, investigating whether Trump associates colluded with the Russians. Trump's prosecution or impeachment, Ellis told prosecutors, that's what you're really after. Ellis, a Reagan appointee, said Robert Mueller's indictment of Manafort is really intended to get Manafort to, quote, sing or become a cooperating witness. The government arguing the special counsel's mandate includes looking at Manafort's financial work overseas. Several hours later on stage, the president gave his verdict, praising that judge.
Judge T.S. Ellis, who is really something very special, I hear, from many standpoints.
The president even quoting directly from the judge's remarks in court.
How does this have anything to do with the campaign, the judge asked. Let me tell you, folks, we're all fighting battles, but I love fighting these battles. It's really a disgrace. What's happening to our country is a disgrace.
And Pierre Thomas with us live tonight as well. And Pierre, the judge did not rule today on whether Manafort's case will move forward. And despite what he said in court there, judges often do this. They don't let you know. It could still go either way.
That's right, David. Sources tell us Judge Ellis is often colorful and combative in court, but they say his challenges are not always a sign of how he ultimately rules, David.
All right, Pierre Thomas with us tonight as well. Pierre, thank you. We do have breaking news.
All right. So the way I understand this is they were at the federal judge, and I don't even know what they wanted, but for some reason the judge said, show me the unredacted memo, and then it turns out that those guys were actually lying. The FBI.
Yeah.
And so now what?
It doesn't really matter. as long as the pot's being stirred and it's bubbling and there's lots of news and you can target it, we can get to the midterms. We only have 6-7 months to go. And then they can vote in a bunch of Democrats and put Nancy Pelosi back in as Speaker of the House, which if you listen to the new podcast.
Oh, I knew it. I knew you would clip. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm very excited. As the pod father, to have the birth of the Barbara Boxer podcast is I'm just tinkling.
Yeah. So she's done 6 of these things, and every one of them. And by the way, they're very poorly produced because it's done by Podcast One.
Oh, this is the Westwood one. I thought those guys were pros.
Well, they got to. If you look at the waveforms, and you can see that it's not compressed. So they have the
only you, John. Only you were like, let me take a look at this waveform. Let me see what's going on with this podcast.
I was going to adjust it so it would be better, but then I said, why should I be fixing this mess? It's like the guy here. It goes like this. Why don't you? I'm going to ask you. You be the guy. You be the guy I'm interviewing.
Okay.
So yell into the mic when you ask a question. So what have you done recently?
Well, I've been around Austin doing a couple of different things.
Well, that's good to know because there's a lot of things I want to talk to you about.
Oh, okay. What do you want to know?
So you have this boxer, and she apparently just slowly drifts away from the mic. So pretty soon she's way.
She's like back here.
Yeah, so she's back here. It's terrible, but they do have. So she brings on the guy in episode 6, which is definitely worth listening to for this guy alone. This character who has put up a website. It turns out she brings it up in later conversation, but they're going to prove on this podcast that Trump ticks off all 9 features of having a narcissistic, horrible narcissistic personality.
Oh, he broke the Goldwater rule.
Dangerous. Dangerous. He needs to be taken out.
He needs to be detained.
He needs to be picked up.
Oh, and put in a straitjacket. Okay, yeah.
So I have the interview with this character, this Gardner guy who is a shrink. He's not like a psychiatrist. He's a psychologist. And the whole thing's a little lengthy, but let's play Boxer 1 when they introduce the guy. And I left in the little sound effect they have at the beginning, when she begins an interview. They produce a little sound effect thing with a bell. Because this is, it's called, Barbara, it's boxers. They're trying to make it like a fight match. So,
okay. Oh, they're doing a boxer bell. Oh, wow. Okay. Let's get ready for Barbara.
I want to welcome to Fight Back Dr. John Gardner, a psychologist and a therapist whose credentials include training at Cornell Medical School and the University of Massachusetts. His specialty is the treatment of borderline personality disorder, bipolar disorder, and depression.
Okay.
He's done something very unusual. He has collected 41,000 signatures of mental health professionals saying that Donald Trump is psychologically incapable of competently discharging his duties as president.
This is the same group that we talked about before when they had 30,000 signatures, I think?
Well, as this progresses, you discover that what we're talking about here is not some letter that 30,000, 40,000.
It's a form on his website?
Yeah.
CGI script? Nice.
And requesting that Donald Trump be removed from office according to Article 3 of the 25th Amendment. Dr. Gardner, welcome. And welcome. I have a very good question to start this off.
I love interviewers who say, I have a good question for you. You're not on any old show. You're on the Barbara Boxer Fight Back podcast, baby. I got a good question. Unless it came from someone else.
The problem is she interjects herself throughout the podcast.
Well, she's a
politician. A very annoying, and talk about an egomaniac, in a very annoying and egomaniacal style. At the beginning of the podcast is mostly the first half of the podcast is her kibitzing with her daughter. And they're going back and forth. Well, you're such a wonderful daughter.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you're the best mom ever. Somebody said that I'm such a good daughter because of you, Mom. They said because I was raised right by a great mom. I'd say you're the greatest mom I've ever imagine ever having.
You got to bring that
thank
piece.
you. Thank you for saying that but you're just a natural. You're such a wonderful daughter. I've never I can't imagine having a better daughter. Well, I can't imagine having a better mom.
And you know what, Mom?
And that goes on for 20 minutes.
And you have the best questions, Mom.
As president, and requesting that Donald Trump be removed from office according to Article 3 of the 25th Amendment. Dr. Gartner, welcome. And I have a very good question to start this off. You've been so articulate on why Donald Trump is not fit to be president. And this is, a very unusual thing because I know that your own professional code says that you shouldn't diagnose an individual who isn't your patient.
Yes, but I am the Paul Revere of psychs.
So how do you answer this question?
Wow. What a good question.
Well, there's really two answers. One is that rule, the Goldwater rule, I'll tell you a little bit about the history of it in a moment, is really anachronistic given our current diagnostic system. And secondly, in our ethical code, the duty to warn people who might be at risk or in danger really supersedes any other ethical consideration, and it makes sense. It really is the idea that life itself is more important than any other rule. And in the case of the duty to warn, it was actually born out of therapists maintaining confidentiality, but not warning someone who might be a potential victim of violence. And so that is the premier ethical responsibility that we have, more than to any of these other things in our code. But more specifically about the Goldwater rule, the history of it was that Barry Goldwater was running for president in 1964, and Fact magazine, which doesn't exist anymore, wrote an article about him being mentally unsound. And they took a poll of psychiatrists that they used as their support. And then when Goldwater lost the election, he sued the magazine and won for libel. And in fact, it's worth mentioning that he had a point because he was not mentally unstable. He was conservative, but he wasn't mentally unstable.
I like that.
You caught that.
Very good. He was conservative, but he wasn't completely nuts. I like that. That's a good dig. You can use that for almost anything.
It was a gem.
Yeah, that is a nice one. And I was actually going to say, did he turn out to be unstable? No. Well, what was wrong with all those people? Or was it just one group, just one magazine that did that? To me, it sounded back in the day like it was a lot of psychiatrists.
There was a lot of psychiatrists, psychologists mostly.
The rapists. I mean,
but
therapists.
They had, there's a couple of things that came out of this. One is this ethical need to think on your clients if there's a danger involved, which I didn't know. I thought it was they still try to promote the idea that it's like an attorney. You have this privilege, patient privilege. But apparently if you say, I really feel like killing a bunch of people, is there any pill? Can you give me a pill or something? And he goes and tells the cops.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was the case.
I think that's
I think they try to cover that up.
What do you mean? Cover what up?
I think they try to cover that reality up because they don't want to pay, these nutballs that come in as patients paying $150 an hour to know that if they say one thing that's a little sketchy, that your shrink is going to walk right to the cops.
Well, by the same token, that's exactly what's being called for and being done, like the school shooting in Florida. The kid was analyzed. They called the feds and said, this kid's no good. So it happens all the time. I mean,
it happens all the time.
Yeah, I'm not against that, but I guess
I'm not against it either, but not if you're trying to convince the public. This seems to me to be
But we're going to die. We're in imminent danger if he remains president. Don't you see that?
I just find it's just distressing. It's very distressing. It's as though it's like like we're in a police state already. We're in a surveillance state already. And now you go to a shrink or you go to a priest. Yeah. The guy got busted recently for going to a priest.
Yeah.
And, you can't, what are you supposed to do here? So anyway,
take a walk, take a walk, shake it off. I don't know.
Take a walk, walk it off,
walk it off. Come on, man. What's wrong? All right. What's your second clip?
Is that more on that clip?
No, that was it.
Okay. The second one is really incorporates what I consider to be the giveaway, and something we always have to consider. And I find it kind of disgusting.
But since that case, we've actually adopted a whole new diagnostic system. It's the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual that we use today. And the whole raison d'etre of adopting the DSM was that it should be based on clear, observable behavioral criteria. So when Goldwater, when the psychiatrists were making comments about Goldwater, they were saying, he'd been scarred by his potty training, or he had an unresolved Oedipus complex, or he was a latent homosexual, very obscure and possibly wrong theoretical constructs.
Possibly wrong. Wait, he's a latent homosexual. That's possibly wrong.
It's not like I didn't call this, not like I didn't say that they were going to come up with Trump as a homo. I told you that was on deck. Here it is. The seed is planted.
You might be right, but I'm still not putting it on the list. Okay.
What else did he say?
Be based on clear, observable behavioral criteria. So when Goldwater, when the psychiatrists were making comments about Goldwater, they were saying, he'd been scarred by his potty training, or he had an unresolved Oedipus complex, or he was a latent homosexual, very obscure and possibly wrong theoretical constructs that you couldn't know anything about.
Theoretical wrong constructs.
Whether they apply to Goldwater,
guy's
you
a
have to
gem.
actually talk to him in therapy. But now, with the criteria that we have now, the whole point was that we should be able to observe someone's behavior or talk to someone who's observed their behavior. And if they exhibit the behaviors that meet the criteria, we know that they meet the diagnosis. So I know later we're going to go over some of those criteria.
Nice.
But people will see how much they are really written in plain, simple English, and how these are behaviors that are very clear and observable. And in fact, I interviewed one of the people, the last living member of the ethics committee that drafted the Goldwater rule. And he told me, first of all, it was never meant to be a rule. It was meant to be a principle, something you should keep in mind, not something that should be a blanket gag order under all circumstances.
Hopefully he is going to give us some of these definitions, things that we can look for, hopefully.
Yeah, actually, they go through the 9. I only isolated a few of them that were the funniest because.
All right, good. Oh, at least there's some in there. Good.
But secondly, he said if they'd had the DSM in those days, they wouldn't have even passed the Goldwater rule, because his concern was that people were basically making diagnostic formulations without adequate evidence.
And what does the DSM stand for, Doctor? What does DSM stand for?
Statistical
It's
Manual.
the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual.
Okay, so I want to get to that, but I think you've made a really important point, and excuse the way I present this, but you're saying the duty to warn people trumps the Goldwater rule.
Yes.
And the
That's
reason
exactly how I phrased it, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, well, great minds think alike, of course.
I'm sorry. Did he say that the DSM didn't exist during the Goldwater era? That's what I heard him say, correct?
Yeah.
Well, we are at DSM-5, but DSM-1 was established in 1952. DSM-2 in 1968.
That would be Goldwater
era. That would be Goldwater, yeah. So he's full of crap.
There you go.
What I think is important for people to understand is that this is a very big deal, having so many professionals like yourself stand up. Is there actually an organization called Duty to Warn?
Yes, there is an organization called Duty to Warn. I founded it. It started out with the petition that you.
Gosh, did she really not know this about her guest, or
she threw it in because he wasn't plugging it? Now,
leading the witness.
He says that now he brings out that it's a petition that was signed by all these people, and of course the number's gone way up. But just because, I could go on a site and sign the petition and claim to be some, local shrink.
You are. You're my shrink. What are you talking about? You're certified.
There you go. In fact, I'm a working shrink. But let's just finish up, because it gets to the point where I think that we really see what's going on here.
Having so many professionals like yourself stand up. Is there actually an organization called Duty to Warn?
Yes, there is an organization called Duty to Warn. I founded it. It started out with the petition that you mentioned earlier. I think we're now up to 70,000 signatures. And I want to point out to people how truly unprecedented this is.
Okay.
Many people have accused us of being partisan, that we're just kind of using our profession to diss a candidate or a president that we don't like.
Diss?
It's never.
I'm sorry, is that a professional term? Diss? We just don't want to diss him.
Happened before.
Oh, everybody! If you're a Democrat, it's very cool to say.
To people how truly unprecedented this is.
Okay.
Many people have accused us of being partisan, that we're just kind of using our profession to diss a candidate or a president that we don't like. It's never happened before in the history of our profession that a large group of professionals have banded together to say that a leader is dangerous or unfit. I mean, I'm a lifelong Democrat.
Okay.
That's it. I'm a lifelong Democrat. Why does he say that?
To show his color. This is my stripes.
This is a little virtue signaling.
Yeah, it's my stripes.
It seems to me that if you're trying to be objective, that's the last thing you'd want to admit, especially lifelong. I mean, most people I know who are kind of free thinkers have gone through different. I'm a Democrat, but then I'm a Republican, then I'm an independent, then I'm a libertarian. I mean, they're adjusting their views as they mature. Yes. And being a lifelong Democrat and a Trump hater, apparently, and then he makes a statement, which you caught him on the DSM one. He also made the statement, this is the first time this has ever happened, when he just cited the Goldwater incident.
Yeah, but he kind of downplayed it down to just one magazine that did that, which I don't think is true. I thought it was quite a collection of psychiatrists.
It was. And so of course he downplayed it. So this is nonsense. So they decide to go into this. It's
DSM-5.
It's beyond nonsense. What gets me, it's just another bashing exercise by a lifelong Democrat.
Number 5 is sense of entitlement.
No, hold on. So let me set this up. So they start going through this list of indicators that he's got some narcissistic personality disorder that is dangerous to the country. And there's a 9-point list where every one of them he checks off, which is very unusual because you only really need 5. But they can find all 9 of them and Trump's guilty, and listen to their rationale of guilt, which is a lot of innuendo, making stuff up as you go along, phony quotes. It just annoys me to no end to listen to this. I mean, listen to their lies. It's just okay. Play.
5
please.
is sense of entitlement.
Oh,
sense of entitlement.
Isn't that the entire millennial generation?
Yeah.
Well, I think he was born with $1 million, and he thinks he's a self-made man.
Yes, it's true.
Yes.
He does feel entitled to do whatever he wants and get away with it.
Yeah. Remember when he said, when I see a beautiful woman, I can't help myself. I grab her by her blah, blah, blah. I mean, who...
Which is not exactly what he said, but okay, we'll take the...
Nothing close to what he said.
We'll take the paraphrase. That's her truth. That's her reality. That's like...
No, you were dealing with a lot of Dimension B reality here.
Yeah.
And it's to the point where I would think these two people are delusional.
Yeah.
Who does that? Who does that? You can't do that to people.
Who does that?
That's a good example of it. The next one is interpersonally exploitive. Oh, there's a million ones. What do you come up with?
Well, this is really fundamental to his lifestyle, and it also relates to it's also criteria for the antisocial or personality disorder or sociopathy. I mean, his whole life has been about exploiting other people. He doesn't pay his workmen. He sexually assaults women. Mm-hmm. He established a university for the sheer purpose of defrauding people. I mean, this is someone who exploiting other people is central to his life.
Okay,
it's not like he did this thing or that thing. It's a pervasive pattern that pervades everything he does throughout his life.
Yes, I hear you. And
I hear you.
He exploits everyone, even the people who are loyal to him, and then he dumps them. You know,
what a
we
douche.
just talked on a show before this about Nikki Haley, you know, who was told to go out on the shows and state a certain policy, and then he didn't like it, and he makes her look the fool. And that's exploiting her. It's just wrong. Now we get to the next one, which is I have an easy example, but I'm going to let you go first. You'll beat me to it. Number 7, lacking empathy.
This makes you a sociopath? This makes you
makes you a narcissistic disorder, dangerous narcissistic disorder of some sort.
My. Well,
by the way, the empathy thing, she could have just as easily used the first time he launched a bunch of missiles because he saw some kids crying in the street in a fake video.
But let me ask you. He uses other people
He doesn't pay his workers.
Doesn't pay his workers.
How does he get anyone to work for him? It's beyond me, but he doesn't pay his workers.
And what was the last one there we had?
This was exploits or something.
Yeah. He's a New Yorker.
No, he's from Queens specifically. It's been most of his characteristics have been explained.
Even better.
It's been explained as a Queens personality.
Yeah, well, we should get rid of that borough. They're all certifiable there, I tell you. Well, anyway, he definitely does abuse his interpersonal relationships, and I think my prediction from a couple months back is coming true. As I think one of the things that we talked about is certain people have to get out of the White House. Mueller possibly do an extraction for getting other criminals out for maybe stuff that happened during 9/11. I don't know. There's a lot of things going on with him. But I knew one guy had the mark on his head, and we knew that guy was not Ivanka.
There's a Politico report today basically suggesting Mueller would now consider Ivanka Trump a target. Look at Hope Hicks as one example.
Yes, she's very loyal to Donald Trump, but I think the president would say this. She could stand up to him when she had to. What they did to her is absolutely outrageous. Ivanka Trump, I think I would get on my Charger and go right into their offices with a lance if they go after Ivanka.
At this point, sir, I honestly agree with you. I fear for the country. Let me go through.
Now, if they do Ivanka, which I doubt they will, the whole country will turn on them. They're going after his daughter.
What about his son-in-law? They talked about him.
I guess Jared is a fine man. You know that. But men are, disposable. But a fine woman like Ivanka, come on.
Jared is now officially disposable. Bye-bye. Yeah, he's gone.
I always thought he would. In fact, this is a kind of counter to what the boxer and this guy were going on about, his loyalty. I think Trump exhibits too much loyalty to a number of people, including Jared.
Well, no, I think what they believe is that he only wants loyalty towards him, but he has no loyalty in return.
Yeah, well, that's what they're claiming, but I'm not seeing any evidence of it. He brings a lot of cronies in that he owes favors to, puts up with a lot of stuff that he shouldn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I agree with what you wrote in the newsletter. It's really made life pretty boring. I mean, there's really nothing. My beat has become boring. There's nothing to watch. It's all the same over and over. The rotation is like
they've tightened it up because they've got to keep this damned election thing in the news. We've got to get more Democrats in.
Yeah.
And that's all it's about. And this is just about that. There's they don't really want to get rid of Trump because they figure they can leverage him to get more Democrats in. And they can claim he's this and claim he's that and say he's dangerous. And, oh, my God, what are we going to do? And we can't get rid of him. We tried and tried and tried. Let's put more Democrats in. That's the solution.
Yeah.
Oh, we couldn't get him impeached because, we need more Democrats. I mean, it's so transparent. The problem is all the news media and everybody just concentrates on this narrative. I hate to use the word, but I'm going to do it, to get people riled up. And I think Trump was right when he was at the NRA saying, hey, we're going to lose our asses here in the midterms if we don't get out the vote, because it's a known fact. It's never goes well for the president, especially when he's first elected. In his first midterms, he always loses. He'll lose the House and the Senate.
Yeah, yeah. Well, switching gears, I'm very proud of our No Agenda producer audience, and I knew we had a few, but I had no idea how many Eagle Scouts listened to this show.
Yeah, makes sense.
I know you were copied on a couple of them, but I selected 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 emails regarding the question of Boy Scouts of America changing their name to Scouts, BSA, and admitting girls. And this actually came up on that cultural thermometer known as The View.
Well, how about this? This is something totally different. Yeah. After 108 years, the Boy Scouts of America have changed their name to go with their new policy of including girls among their ranks. And their new name is Scouts BSA.
My opinion of this, and it's not a popular one, I don't think, but I think that girls do not benefit from having boys in their midst at these young ages.
They won't.
I know, but they're still going to have some interactions. Just in general, I went to an all-girls high school, as did you.
I did too.
I think that
went to an all-girls college.
Yeah.
It was women, but
boys benefit from having girls in their midst. I'm not sure that girls benefit from having boys in their midst.
The part I got on
because boys, I don't know, it's like they can turn into Lord of the Flies at any given moment.
I like how she took that to slam men. That was kind of cool.
Yeah,
it's like,
good work.
Like girls would benefit from boys being in their troop, but boys would benefit from girls being in their troop because they'd get rid of their toxic masculinity. Yeah, but the other way around, no. Now, there's a lot of things I learned. First of all, I learned from a couple of our Eagle Scout producers that they won't be actually integrated in the troops themselves. You'll have, a den, or is it a troop and then a den? I can't remember.
I don't know how it works, but we mentioned this on the last show.
Yeah, I didn't recall that. So they're not actually going to be completely integrated. But what I'm
I think this may have come up on Horowitz. I could be wrong.
Okay, that's possible. But what I'm learning now is the problem here really is the Girl Scouts of America. Let's see, Eagle Scout J said, it's a cookie cult. The girls don't come out of there.
I did not get this note.
I have a couple of them. The girls do not get out of there with the skills we get in the BSA. Plus, we weren't the most socially confident group in school, so the more exposure to females at a young age, the better. I'm not sure about keeping girls in separate troops, but I think it's a reasonable first step. Now,
you can't mix them.
We got Eagle Scout John, who says, I'm an Eagle Scout, earned the rank in 2002. I'm emailing you. I have 2 daughters in Girl Scouts. I can tell you from personal experience, the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts' only similarity is the word scout. And he has a list of differences. 1, Girl Scouts do not earn merit badges. They earn patches. In Boy Scouts, you had special counselors that you went to with requirements written in merit badge books that were standardized by the organization. Some of these merit badges are required to earn the rank of Eagle, such as camping. There's no such requirement to earn badges or patches in the Girl Scouts. Those patches are mostly given by their scout leader, not an objective third party. They're based on the leader's subjective opinion. So obviously is a big difference. And this one I liked. Girl Scouts is a pyramid marketing scheme. And I think our scout here, our Eagle Scout, is correct. In the Boy Scouts, we'd raise funds to go on camping trips or Klondike Derby or summer camp or jamboree. When we were at these events, we'd meet and compete with other troops, showing off our practical skills that we had learned during the year. Our troop meetings were focused on preparing for greater trips and how to plan for the trips and fundraise. Girl Scouts is entirely the opposite, actually inside out. In the Girl Scouts, the main goal is to sell Girl Scout cookies. The sale is the focus of the meetings for all of the year. The girls are brainwashed into becoming child labor for the national executives of the Girl Scouts and forced to sell cookies. If your troop doesn't sell cookies, you're not allowed to have any other fundraisers during the year. The girls in the troop that sell the cookies get the smallest slice of the pie. A box of cookies sells for $4. My daughter's troop only gets 67 cents for each box. The troops blindly fundraise, and usually the parents have to do all the work selling the cookies, and the troop or the parents get stuck with the unsold boxes. The national organization or the regionals won't even take back the unsold cookies. No, they deduct that from some poor kid's bank account, the amount in full for boxes unsold. Sometimes the girls can spend all spring pushing boxes and earn less than $200 net after having sold thousands of dollars worth of garbage cookies. I didn't realize that this is what was going on. And it makes total sense now. And also, I think the quality of the Girl Scout cookies have declined, having purchased some last year.
No, I haven't noticed that. But, and it's kind of beside the point. When I saw the report that was done on the local news, and it was girls, a lot of Asian girls, by the way, wanted to join the Boy Scouts. That's what they were bitching about. The Girl Scouts don't have anything going on. They don't do anything. Huh. And the Boy Scouts are doing stuff. They're, in fact, as I recall, when I was a Boy Scout, there was all these things, like a knot tying thing. You had to be able to do these knots in front of a bunch of people. And there's all these different required archery. There's a whole bunch of merit badges you can get. And and it was like a real test. It wasn't like somebody, I like the cut of your jib. Here's a free award.
Your jib. Your jib.
Yeah, cut your jib. It's like there's like night and day apparently between the two scouting. And one of the guys who wrote in, you probably have that note. He says the Girl Scouts are really freaked out by this because they're in trouble.
Yeah, they got a real problem with money. Let me go down the list here. Here's an Eagle Scout that doesn't like the integration. That's Ben in Texas, I think. I was encouraged when I heard your take on the happenings within the Boy Scouts. I was in the program from age 6 to 18 when I received my Eagle Scout. I'm currently 19, so I was able to see the earliest onset of such policies. No one in Boy Scouts wants this change, according to our Eagle Scout here. Not the leader nor the guys in it. We are all beyond pissed. I'm strongly considering writing up a letter and sending it to my actual Eagle Scout medal and sending in my actual Eagle Scout medal to the national office in Irving, Texas. But then we have another Eagle Scout who's all in. I'm listening to the latest show. You're all talking about Boy Scouts of America becoming gender integrated. I'm an Eagle Scout. I'm for it. They offer a great program that youngsters, male or female, can benefit from. When I was a scout, the sister of one of our scouts tagged along for most of our events and camping trips, and she fit right in. Her name was Butch. It wasn't always just kidding. It wasn't always a shame that she couldn't participate officially. It should be pointed out, he says, that the Sea Scouts, that's my division, and their parent organization, Scouting Nederland, have been gender integrated since 1973 or even earlier. I guess you were like 9 years old, so your Sea Scouts were probably part of Scouting Nederland. Yes, they were, while you were there. So listen, man, you were part of a gender-inclusive scouting organization. Didn't even realize it. Well, okay, I have no problem with it. But I didn't know that. And then there's a religious angle from one of our, this is from John, he's also an Eagle Scout. No, he is an assistant scoutmaster and father of an Eagle and 2 Life Scouts. That's one rank below Eagle.
Yeah. The difference, by the way, it does take a lot more work to get to Eagle.
Yes. BSA has made a lot of good decisions, but handled the PR horribly because they need to appease 2 large constituencies: the LDS Church, the Mormons.
Oh yeah, this is the good. I got this letter. Yeah. This is a great. Read the whole thing because it's a really outstanding note.
They need to appease 2 large constituencies: the LDS Church, the Mormons, and the Christian right. The LDS makes up around 20% of Boy Scout membership. It's basically part of their religion. If your family is an active LDS Church member and you have boys, when they turn 13, they become Boy Scouts. That's it. 97% of Utah's BSA troops are LDS sponsored. I think BSA was trying to be progressive and including and caving to a lot of pressure from the left, allowing LGBTQIAAPK people into the scouting program. I have no problem with that. I believe there's an equal place for them in scouting. I think BSA handled it sloppily. Enrollment has been a problem for the last 25 years. It's declined at an even faster pace than the whole gay leadership issue. Yes, I have a note about that as well. Then things got worse. The Mormons were silent when they let gay leaders into scouting. And he has a sick there, like gay, it's their term. When BSA let gay boys in, LDS announced they plan to start their own BSA-inspired program for their boys and leave the BSA around 2019 or 2020. Ruh-roh. How is the BSA going to replace all those Mormons? Well, girls! Now they decide to let in girls under the guise of righting a social wrong. The Girl Scouts are clinging to life in most of the country. John said in the last show that the girls wanted into BSA for the outdoors events. The Girl Scouts are closing and selling their camps all over the country because they believe girls want to focus more on indoor activities. Who knows? Maybe they want to teach them how to code. This is the way
that was the best line, by the way.
The way this is being set up is for a bust for everyone. The boys feel like the program is about to be overrun by girls. The girls are being put into a program where no thought is being given to trot out some girls and make one eagle. Child abuse is what he says in parentheses. The Girl Scouts, a dying program, is being kicked further into irrelevance. The Boy Scouts look stupid again. I'm going to be overrun with militant Dementia B SJWs who want their girls to be first. This probably won't work if they fully segregate the girls, which they plan to do. It'd be nice if girls can earn Eagle Scout. It has tremendous prestige. I hope that on their endeavor to provide that experience for girls, they don't dilute and cheapen it in name of higher enrollment. And he's a humble $20.17 a month producer. And we had a couple more here that I wanted to share. Oh yeah, this was about. Oh, here it is. This is Stu, also an Eagle Scout. Man, I'm so proud of the Eagle Scouts we have listening. Also an associate executive producer. My son is currently a Boy Scout. My daughter intends to join next year. I'm going through assistant Scoutmaster training. I'm delighted both my children had the opportunity to become Eagle Scouts. Becoming an Eagle Scout is kind of a big deal. I've always felt it was a shame that girls were excluded. Speaking to Adam's concern, the BSA has stated that Scout troops must be all boys or girls, though these troops could be linked, sharing the same committee in certain events. Hopefully this allies Adam's concern about girl-free self-gratification time. Where does it where it explains? It doesn't quite explain how the troops in the dens work. This is from another one of our Eagle Scouts who got his Eagle Scout at 16 in 2006. Boy Scouts gave me lessons in outdoor skills, joy and companionship, moral framework. My brother's an Eagle Scout. The national success rate for Scouts who become Eagle Scouts is 2 to 4%. It's a very, very, very exclusive club. My troop ran about 20% success rate. Outstanding operation with fathers invested in their sons and their friends, with the mothers isolated to administration roles and no women while camping. As a growing young man, this was a glorious way to escape domestication and grow into maturity. I have 2 sons now. Neither will be in Scouts. They destroyed the operation 2 years ago when it became policy to accept openly homosexual men into leadership roles. Any study of child abuse points to a higher rate of offense among homosexual men than any other group. New policy under Tillerson, that's our former Secretary of State, is to bow down to the gay agenda to put the young boys at risk. This led to a mass exodus, particularly among religious-based hosts, evangelical, Mormon, and Roman Catholic, disbanding their troops. Somewhere between a third and half of the members walking away with new recruitment down as well. So then the BSA doubles down to increase numbers by bringing in girls. If a family stuck around with their sons, maybe they'll bring the sisters in to replace the losses. Wrong again. They broke an organization of over 100 years by removing the 2 pillars of the legged stool. Adherence to virtue, discarded. Focus of boys becoming men, discarded. The visible signs of this, such as service, camping, and the merit badges, are retained, but the soul is drained by the vampires of the progressive left. The change to the name is good. It's easier to identify in conversation with people when the husk ceased to be the imposter of the Boy Scouts of America. Oh, it's Scouts, not Boy Scouts. And then here, the final one is one of our producers who is also an Eagle Scout. And he says, I'm scrolling down here, one of the problems is an image problem. In today's world of social justice warriors, an organization like the Boy Scouts of America cannot be exclusive. They have to be inclusive. It started with openly gay Scouts back in 2014. Up until that point, the organization had taken a stand based on their values and the values they wanted to instill into the boys as they grew into young men. There was a huge public backlash, and here it comes. And they lost a lot of their corporate sponsorship funding. Caterpillar, Chase Manhattan, CVS Pharmacy, Fleet Bank, Intel, Levi Strauss, Lockheed Martin, Merck, Pew Charitable Trust, United Way, and UPS, to name a few. See, this I never heard. So in 2014, they reversed their decision and decided to accept openly gay Scouts. Then in 2015, they voted to allow openly gay adult leaders. In 2017, it was transgender boys. Now in 2018, it's girls. I and several other Eagle Scouts I know don't agree with these decisions. We obviously can't voice that opinion publicly without being labeled homophobic and misogynistic. But my opinion has nothing to do with either of those things. I love the gays. He puts in quotes for you, John, I presume. I love the gays. I love Boy Scouts who happen to be gay. And I have nothing against women or girls. Boy Scouts for me was a refuge. I was a teenager and the world was a crazy and confusing place even back then. Being a Boy Scout gave me a chance to interact with other boys my age without worrying about girls or popularity or any of the other things we dealt with at school and as teenagers, much less sexual orientation and gender identity that kids have to deal with today. Sure, when you first start out in the program, it's all about going camping and hiking and learning how to tie knots and set things on fire. But if you stick with the program, like I did, as you progress through the ranks, you also have the opportunity to become a leader, and that's where I think the real value of the program is. Through being a Boy Scout, becoming an Eagle Scout, joining the Order of the Arrow, and earning the Vigil honor, I learned a lot about leadership and a lot about myself. Looking back, it played a huge role in making me the man that I am today. So it's on both sides of the argument. And these are all Eagles, pretty much all Eagle Scouts.
Yeah, when they have standing insofar as being able to voice their opinions, I think more than
anybody. than anybody. Yeah. Yes, of course.
So they have a mixed feelings. Depends, I think, a lot of it where they're from. You never mentioned that, and except for the Texas guy.
Yeah, if it wasn't in there, then I
it probably wasn't going to be in there. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, just thinking about it,
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think only for the benefit of the girls who are getting screwed over by the Girl Scouts. It seems
for sure.
And they seem to be enthusiastic about the idea. And if you keep them separate, in terms of they're just a troop of girls, you don't have this, some of these issues that may crop up if they're intermixed as co-ed. Right. It's not co-ed. They're not talking about co-ed.
Right.
And so that, I think, makes a huge difference. And if that's the case, I don't think it's going to be a problem at all.
I agree. I think that's exactly what was poorly explained. It's not that they're all camping together co-ed, but they have their own dens or troops or whatever it is, but they're all in the same organization. I have no problem with that.
Yeah.
What I have a problem with is all these commercial companies. How are they sponsoring? Do they have banners everywhere? Do the kids have to use certain products? Do they learn banking?
Apparently, they got strong-armed by somebody who really knows how to, pull one of those stunts.
Mm-hmm.
The stunts that were pulled by Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, and you wouldn't want to protest out in front of your house, your building, would you? Maybe you should contribute to the cause a little bit. It won't hurt.
Hey, no, I don't know, man. I'm a little concerned about the corporate sponsorship. That was a lot of names on that list.
Yeah, and then it shows you that corporate sponsorships allows them to use their weight to push people around.
Yeah, it works.
So you're going to either do this or you're not going to get our money anymore. This is a problem we have with advertising in our space and commercialism all around. It's a horrible situation.
That's right. That's what the social nets have brought you. You cannot say anything wrong or out of order, or they'll go after your advertisers, which is exactly what.
Well, that's the social nets have little to do with this phenomenon.
Oh, the social nets is where it takes place.
This was going on way before any of these social nets came around.
Yeah, but I think it's gotten a little more effective.
I think it's just gotten a little more obvious.
Well, there's that. But it's for good reason that we try to avoid these kinds of models, besides the complete lack of belief that it actually works, that you can monetize the network. And that's why I want to thank you for your courage. And say in the morning to you, John C. USC stands for Cash Can't Buy Us, Dvorak.
In the morning to you, Mr. Adam Curry. In the morning to all ships at sea, and the boots on the ground, and the feet in the air, and the subs in the water, and all the dames and knights out there.
In the morning to everybody in the troll room, noagendastream.com. Good to see you guys there, handing off the ideas, the links, and the one-liners. It's highly appreciated. And also in the morning to Comic Strip Blogger, 2 shows in a row, I believe, that he brought us the artwork for the show. This was episode 1030, Phoneliness, and it was a long-forgotten emoticon. Plain, simple, there it was. The boobs emoticon, old-school emoji. There was almost just no other choice. And it looks really good.
It does.
On in your app and on Twitter. Like, hey, your eye is kind of drawn to it. What did I just see? What exactly is that?
What is that?
So I think that was a plus for us, and we appreciate the work from Comic Strip Blogger and all of the artists who diligently are creating and uploading artwork to get into the album art for each episode. NoAgendaArtGenerator.com. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. We appreciate the value you're giving us.
Well, we do have some people to thank. Very few, actually. We had a very poor turnout. The birthday was a bust.
Oh, hey, by the way, congratulations with your grandson.
What?
It was his birthday.
I've been discussing this on and off. When does a kid who's 1 year old even know what the hell's going on about birthdays? It's a parent's thing. Congratulations, parents. You got to have a party, an excuse for a party for a kid who is nonplussed, doesn't care, doesn't know what a birthday is, and probably won't for another year or two. And I think it's exploitative. It's child abuse.
It's okay, Theodorable. Grandpa's a podcaster. Don't worry about it. He loves you. I'm just saying, congratulations. I congratulated you. This is
there you go.
But this is what we do in Holland. This the Dutch. We look at
that's right.
birthday calendars when we're pooping.
By the way, they had a little event, and it was as close to being in Holland because everyone was seated in chairs around a giant table eating brunch. So a millennial brunch.
Hey, and it came to me. It came to me because his nickname is Theodorable. New name, Theodorbs.
Yeah, well, you can call him that. We have two people to thank for the show 1031 for being an executive producer, and that's Robert Dieter in Sacramento, California, $555.55, which is nothing to sneeze at. Thank you, John and Adam, for the best podcast in the universe. Happy Sanko with an S, DeMayo, to all at the round table and fellow producers who requested de-douching.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me get the douche nozzle lined up and turn on suction.
You've been de-douched.
And he wants a lone wolf and dealer's choice for jingles.
Government documents. And I walk out and everybody goes, the government lies, you're going to die. No, happening Japan blowing up the sea. You will line up and they will rope you and your family. Pain, judgment, war, GMO, death, destruction, disease, fire spreading, ants, rotten bodies. Alex,
You've got karma.
It was random.
Very random. And then we have Stuart Venable, the associate executive producer, with $200. No note. I can't find it in the letters in the email, in the squirrel mail. Maybe you got something. I don't have anything.
I could take a quick look. The name does not ring a bell, but you never know.
And we're going to just give him some karma.
Yeah, no, I don't. He definitely has he's definitely supported us before, but I don't see anything. Okay, we'll give him some karma. Thank you very much.
And it should be Sir Stewart.
You've got karma.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait. Hold on. Maybe. Let me check. I think you're right. I may actually. Let me check if I have a note here. No, I really got nothing. I'm sorry. Well, he'll send us a note if he has something. Wait, that's it?
Yeah, or not. Not everybody, feels the need to send notes.
Notes? You don't know. No, but he should say NJNK. Just so
that would be better.
Yeah,
at least we know we got something. We don't have to scramble around. Anyway, that's all we got for the associate executive producer and executive producer for show 1031. It was very, very lean. And want to thank these two for carrying the load.
Yes, we will have one executive producer and one associate executive producer. It's okay. Every show has them, certainly in Hollywood. That's why we put those credits up front, just like you see the titles, only we actually mention them and read their notes. That wouldn't work too well on CSI. But these are real credits in the same way.
Yes, I like the reference.
And they're accepted anywhere credits are recognized.
Back on the Andy Griffith show, they wouldn't do that.
Another show coming up on Thursday. Remember us at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Well, it's clear. We need a little bit more of that formula propagation.
Our formula is this. We go out, we hit people in the mouth.
Shut up, slave.
Shut up, slave.
I think I have a little update.
And now it's time for your sexual harassment update.
That's right. Me Too continues, although not in the political realm as far as I know. I haven't seen any more politicians under the gun, but there was a little update on CBS this morning. Gayle King provides it to us. This also the home of the infamous Charlie Rose. It's in your DNA.
The Washington Post is signaling there may be more revelations about what CBS News knew about claims of inappropriate conduct by former anchor Charlie Rose. In a story published yesterday, the Post detailed 3 occasions during which it says CBS managers were warned of Rose's conduct.
All right, Anna, thank you. Listen, the more you hear about the story, the more awkward and more uncomfortable it is. But the good news is, if you can say good news, is that the company's investigating, hired somebody from the outside. And I really do feel that the chips fall where they may. This investigation is continuing, and we take it very, very seriously.
Shorts fall where they may.
Somebody worked in the news business in the 50s and 60s. I think about the women who had to come forward, what they had to, the anguish they had to live through, the courage it took to come forward, and the frustration of having to be silent and feel like you can't have a voice. So it's good that they can get some kind of relief through this investigation.
And,
I also
keep
I
you
also
in
think
job
about the other
security,
damage in this,
John.
all the people who work here, those long nights, who fling themselves across the country to go cover stories, who are a part of this now and dealing with it as well.
Which is why it's important we're investigating the past, but even more important that we're moving forward.
And that there are a lot of professionals in the building doing a very good job. I don't want people to forget, there are a lot of people doing a lot of good work here, as you pointed out.
What is this trend? This trend, I'm not quite sure. I know.
Justification? Self-justification? Oh, we do good work.
Yeah.
We do the same thing on the No Agenda show.
We do?
Yeah, well, we compliment each other for doing good work.
No, but it would be like saying, well, sadly, John, well, we all know, we all kind of, let the chips fall where they may on his sexual harassment case. But people work very hard here at the No Agenda show.
It's kind of like that. Well, it's pathetic. Is what it is.
It's protecting the organization, trying to segment it is what it is. And it's
why are they investigating? They got rid of the guy. He's not on PBS. He was making God knows how much money because he was doing everything, including covering on the nightly news. After all those years of pretty much working for PBS for whatever they paid, or he paid himself because it was like he produced the show, but it's still it's kind of syndicated. At public radio syndication is not where the money is.
Right.
And then he got these gigs that paid millions. I mean, you get millions of dollars for working that morning show. And, so he's living it up. And then all of a sudden, somebody doesn't like him. And then these stories start coming out. And then they start, it gets worse and worse and worse. The next thing you know, the guy's done. Everything's done.
You'd think that Gail also might have something to say to the outside investigators. I mean, she worked with the guy for years. I mean, she never saw anything, never noticed it. This could also be something that she's trying to, soften it all. Hey, Charlie, I'm really sorry. I got to rat you out, man.
And what's the other? Nora O'Donnell.
Yeah, she wasn't there during this, I don't think.
No, she's actually been taking a lot of time off. Maybe there's something going on.
Maybe she's with child.
Maybe she's with Charlie.
That's it.
And this concludes your sexual harassment update.
Geez, you don't even give me a chance to throw in a clip.
Oh, this always happens. I never expect you to have anything.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Well, throw in a clip.
No, I'm good.
Come on, throw your clip in.
Got nothing.
No, you
I'm
don't
just
have a
saying.
clip.
You should at least maybe think I have something.
I looked at your list briefly and thought he doesn't have a clip, and so I'm just closing it off. But I don't.
I have a clip that's important, though.
Oh, well, whoa, hold on a second. I need an important sound. I don't have an important sound. What's your important clip?
I think that this is a major trend, and the more I think about it, the fact that we've gotten to this point where so this is news.
Breaking.
We're breaking news that kids in some schools, some places, in the third grade are learning cursive. Stop the presses.
We end tonight on a handwritten note. Some of America's most important historical documents go back to the Declaration of Independence. They're in cursive. But for many American school kids, the curly letters are as unreadable as ancient hieroglyphics. In a growing number of states, a handwriting revival is underway. Omar Villafranca now on the push to get Dallas kids in the loop.
I really like the tension she's putting in her voice.
This is the end of the thought.
These third graders at Good Shepherd Episcopal in Dallas are learning a lost art. They're practicing cursive.
A lost art? Oh, my God. I can die now.
Writing letters to their pen pals.
My third grade teacher taught me cursive writing.
It's almost a foreign language for today's younger generation.
It used to hurt my hand a lot, but now I got used to it.
Hard to read and harder to write. Signature. Tim Mallad's daughter is in the class.
Wouldn't it be fun for the children to begin to learn how to read letters and perhaps
get the thrill of getting a real letter in the mail.
The first thing we're going to do is look at the letter that is up on the screen.
He came up with the pen pal idea and shared it with her teacher, Karen Gunter.
You got a letter today? Another one? You got another one.
After he sent a letter in cursive to his daughter away at camp, and she couldn't read a word he had written.
So she was mad at me. Well, why are you mad at me? Well, your letter. And I'm thinking, I didn't say anything bad in the letter. No, you wrote it in that funny writing.
Mallard oversees several retirement homes and knows a lot of people who still use that funny writing. So he helped pair up students with several seniors, like 75-year-old Sue Stanley. Third grade teacher Karen Gunter says the cursive lesson also allows her to teach grammar along with the mechanics of writing.
What does a capital D look like?
And it's one of the only times she knows the students are paying attention.
This goes on for 5 minutes, and yeah, the students are paying attention because they're actually learning something. And I was thinking about this as the story progressed. This is a kind of a subtle destruction of the culture so kids can't read cursive. They can't read any of our founding documents. They can't read the Declaration of Independence. They can't read the Constitution. All it was written in cursive. Mm-hmm. I mean, the typewriter never showed up till about 1860. And it's subversive. And everybody I know that's pretty much under 30 years old until this latest new generation coming along can't read cursive, and they write in block letters like morons used to do when I was a kid, because they couldn't write. We were taught penmanship in the first, second, and third grade, and it was all part of a curriculum where you actually learned to do stuff. And it wasn't like, why has it been dropped? Why is it dropped? Now we have, in fact, I have a clip from the last show. The 3 R's, this is what the 3 R's, instead of reading, writing, and arithmetic, remember, this is what the 3 R's are today. This clip.
FUSD is considering a curriculum called the 3 R's, rights, respect, responsibility.
So, obviously, under Common Core, this type of behavior is completely outlawed from schools. The only way schools could teach cursive in class is to make it part of the art curriculum. I think that's how they can get away with it.
Well, the Common Core is dead.
Yeah, but there's the next gen is already in.
It's going to be the same thing, and they don't want to teach kids anything that would be useful, and they definitely don't want them reading documents written before 1860.
I agree. I think it's very useful to be able to...
I think it's completely subversive. This is a technique that was put into play for no good reason. There is absolutely no good reason you can't teach a third grader who's got nothing else to do with his time. Seriously, what else have they got to do? They memorize the math tables and learn to write. And the teacher herself said, these kids are quiet when they're doing this.
Yeah, and it is very handy because you don't have that much paper in jail, which is where half of these kids are headed anyway. So you write cursive, you can fit more on the page.
Yeah, well, there's that.
I'm not quite as passionate about it as you are, but I agree that not being able to actually comprehend original documents or even your grandma's writing.
Or like this little girl, her dad's writing.
Yeah.
That's how it got started in this Texas school. The dad writes a letter to his girl in camp and she's pissed off.
Yeah, I actually am one of those morons. I have the worst handwriting. I have like a block letter cursive connective thing that is just atrocious. I mean, I really don't have the right muscle memory. I'm very, very, I have poor
if you
penmanship.
go to any art store, they have little exercise books that you can buy that will teach you and make your muscles work, because they give you exercises and you can write over and over and over again. You can get a very pretty handwriting if you want one, or you can even take it to the next step and learn calligraphy.
Yes,
which takes special equipment, and it's a little more difficult. But it's not rocket science to go to an art store and buy a book.
No. Okay. Are you guilting me into this now? Is that the idea?
I think you should. I would like to see you with perfect penmanship.
It's the Dirty 30.
That's right, everybody. From perfect penmanship to the Dirty 30. John C. Dvorak goes back in time to tell us all of the cool phrases that we heard back in the 30s. Pretty good, huh?
Hey, you got that voice down.
Yeah, I'm famous for it. That only works in the music. I can't do it without the music.
Yeah, because you get into the rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I like that voice. Okay, we were at Cadillac, I believe, which is the last term on this pages and pages.
That was Cadillac. I don't recall what Cadillac was.
It was a 1 ounce pack of cocaine or heroin.
Ah, yes. How could I forget?
Then we had canary, and then cats or alligators. We got that cave. We got that. Okay, here we go. This is new. Check or checker?
Cab.
No, $1.
Ooh, okay.
Hey, give me a checker. Give me a checker.
Huh. I wonder what the etymology of that is. Checker, a check.
I have no idea. It might be worth looking into. Here's one you might be able to guess. A Chicago overcoat.
I know Chicago boots because Chicago boots is when they throw you in the river, way down. It has to do something with gangsters killing you.
It means a coffin.
Ah, yes.
So you were close.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
A Chicago typewriter.
A Chicago typewriter.
Yeah.
I give up.
A Thompson submachine gun.
Of course. I could have known that one. I've heard it. Yes, I've heard the reference, a typewriter. Yeah.
And it's also, the synonyms are chopper.
Yeah.
And gat.
Yeah, Gatling. A Gatling gun. A gat. Yeah.
Okay. A chisel.
Chin.
The guy's a chiseler.
I don't know.
A swindler, a cheat, and he works at an angle.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here's one of my favorites. Cinder Dick.
Cinder Dick. I'm writing it down as a possible show title, regardless. Cinder Dick. Can you use a Cinder Dick in a sentence?
Hey, let's get out of these boxcars before the Cinder Dick comes along.
Yeah, so that's the conductor, the police, the railroad police.
Railroad detective.
There you go.
All right. A couple more, and then we'll close the segment. Dog soup.
Dog soup. In a sentence.
Sometimes known as city juice.
I'm going to pass.
Hey, Mabel, give me a glass of that city juice.
Water. Gotcha.
Clam bake.
Has something to do with lesbians, but I'm not sure.
No, it's a wild swing. Nice try. A clip joint.
Clip joint?
Yeah.
A whorehouse?
A nightclub or gambling joint where patrons get flim-flammed.
and now I need flim-flammed.
Flim-flammed. Copper.
A policeman.
Yes. Crumb.
A small-time criminal.
A fink or a loser by social standards. I think I get
half a point.
I think you get a full point.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Crust.
Crust. Well, of course, I immediately got a pie crust in mind. Crust. No.
It means to insult.
Oh, to diss. Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't have my bell.
Still crust diss. Diss crust. Crust diss. Yeah.
Curve.
Yeah.
And I think you need the context. Boy, that threw me a curve.
Unexpected event.
Disappointment.
Disappointment. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know why this is on here, but I'll read it. This will be our last one. Cute as a bug's ear means very cute. Let me do another one. That's not really a good one.
No.
A cement mixer.
Cement mixer.
Good one. Yeah.
Maybe that's the guy who kills the guy?
No. Cement mixer was slang for a bad dancer.
No, okay. That's not the best one. I always want something I can use in modern life.
No, we very few. I mean, we have detectives next, which is Dick, Seamus, Gumshoe, and Flatfoot. I think are still in play.
I'm going to use Cinder Dick just for everything. Cinder
Dick.
Dick.
Like a Cinder Dick.
You know, it's not a dirty 30, but someone sent me a term that I've used that we used to use in the 70s, which I liked. Synonymous for television, the boob tube.
Yeah, the boob tube.
Remember
I think that's still in play.
Really?
Yeah. I think so. All right, we'll close this and we'll continue at a later date.
Okay.
That's right. Dirty 30.
The Dirty 30. We do it once in a while here on the No Agenda Show. We try to find something that we can use in our daily life that will confuse everybody. That's right. Today we chose Signal Dick. Tune in next time for more of the Dirty 30.
So I'm watching, one of my pet peeves is the use of memes, mostly negative memes that are part of a lexicon that has been disproven. It's like the gassing in Syria.
Oh yeah, That's a bad.
It's been proven that original gassing where there was the red line, Obama was supposed to bomb.
Let's try this. 97% of all scientists say climate change is real.
Yes,
how about
there
that
you
one?
go.
That's the
another
best one
classic.
Yes.
Well, there's a classic there's a show on CBS which is I think it's kind of junk TV. It's produced in a funny kind of a way. The look of it's called Ransom, and it's these experts that go around.
Is this about? Oh no, it's a series. I thought it was.
No, it's a series.
All right, go ahead.
Weekly series. And so I'm just clipping there's a piece of it where they do one of these. They do one of these. They just slip it into the. This is like we had that clip we like to play. About the Lear group that's slipping, propaganda into the American mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that this, I just rolled my eyes when I heard this. See if you can spot it. It's in here somewhere. A piece of bull crap that is woven into the dialogue.
5 is a conference center.
All right, can you pull up their schedule?
This must be it. 1 p.m., 3rd floor.
What?
The Russian foreign minister is calling for an end to the sanctions that were imposed after they invaded Crimea.
Misha Helenko didn't come to Berlin to buy weapons for an attack in New York. He came here for the attack. All right, I'm hanging up. 110.
Okay, it was a little hard to hear, but I believe that was after they invaded Crimea.
Yeah, they invaded Crimea.
They didn't invade Crimea. There was no invasion.
No, they were already there. There was no invasion. They make it sound as if they want to put into the listeners' or the viewers' mind the tanks coming in like they did in Hungary, I think this was in the 50s or 60s. There's tanks rolling in, these Russian tanks, and they're invading. The poor Crimeans, they don't know what's going on, and they get invaded by the Russians.
Right.
But this never happened. But let's make it so it sounds.
Well, I have to say the way it came out, it actually did sound like that was written specifically to make that point. Because why else would you say it? Do you have a point to make? So it could have been a Lear Foundation job.
Actually, you're right, but because that whole situation was the Russians going to speak, they're going to shoot him or something. It had to do with blowing up the place, and this Russian's going to speak about cutting back the
sanctions.
Sanctions because they invaded Crimea. It's a MacGuffin known as in the business. It could have been a million different things because the guy, you never met the guy. It had nothing to do with the storyline.
No.
So they just threw it in. So if you're going to throw in a MacGuffin, let's throw in one that's got a little piece of propaganda attached to it so we can just keep pumping this into the public domain so people will would you ask the guy in the street after they saw this show, did the Russians invade Crimea? Yeah, oh yeah, sure. Yeah, they did.
What I'd ask the guy on the street is, what is a MacGuffin?
A MacGuffin is used in a lot of mysteries as kind of a variable. It's a variable that has nothing to do with the main plot or storyline, and it can be anything you want it to be. It's like all of a sudden they're chasing down a vial of uranium. That vial of uranium can also be a fantastic diamond from Egypt. It could be a kidnapped child. It could be a million different things. It's got nothing to do with the way the plot goes, and it's called a MacGuffin because it's a variable. It could be anything. It's not important what it is at all. It just has to be sound interesting. And that's what a MacGuffin is.
To remind everybody about the Lear Foundation and their work in Hollywood, here's a short clip of them. I think this is boasting about the numbers.
So in the course of our work, this is in the 2 years, 11 to 13, 335 storylines that we worked on have been aired. We've worked with 35 networks in the past 4 years, 91 different television shows.
I'd love to have an update on their numbers. I wonder how they're doing. It must be so fantastic. They must be.
It's got to be way up.
They got to be
Amazon, I think they're responsible
Netflix.
for this.
Yeah, I'm going to tend to agree.
Yeah.
It sounded extremely inserted.
I got 99 glitches. It's just a glitch. And put a goatee on there, will you?
So my peeve is the term glitch, how it is used indiscriminately in serious reporting, such as Reuters headline, Twitter urges all users to change passwords after glitch. And they're so accepting of what happened. Now, Twitter, I don't know if you logged in. I'm sure you logged in and got this message earlier this week.
I did.
And Twitter claimed because of a bug, we've gone from glitch to bug, so I'll give them that. Because of a bug, accidentally, all of your passwords were written in clear text to an internal server. Don't worry, probably no one saw it, and that may be very true. But I went looking for this, and I'm like, that's just not an acceptable explanation, some bug. How does that bug happen? In my mind, if you are doing an encrypted website, and I've done a few, you never actually see the password. It gets hashed or hash salted, all these funny, cool terms, and you never ever see the actual unencrypted password. You don't have it, so it's not a liability. So what happened here? And a very simple Bing it turned up that GitHub not only had this very problem. Let me see what the date was on this. This was in. No, I can't see. Oh, this was. Wow, is this May 2nd, or is that a comment about it? No, I think it is May 2nd. GitHub, in an email said a handful of GitHub staff. Oh, here it is. During the course of regular auditing, GitHub discovered that a recently introduced bug exposed a number of users' passwords to our internal logging system. It's almost the exact same language that Twitter used. I said, well, what are they doing? And it turns out this is no bug. This is a configuration issue. They're using, more than likely, they're using bcrypt. And if you set it up incorrectly, this thing will literally create this log file with those passwords embedded into it. It's a switch that you set, I guess, on this bcrypt stuff. And they just didn't set it right. So they're calling it a bug, but really they're being either incredibly irresponsible, or it could be malice. It could have been done on purpose. You don't know. And where else is this happening? Who's using bcrypt? This was just glossed over so easily. And when they say 330 million passwords, thanks for, always nice to have a magical 33 in there. And it wasn't a bug. It was a fuck up, a mistake.
Yeah, it sounds like a total human error.
Yeah, and I
blame it on the glitch.
And I did this work in 10 minutes. It wasn't that hard to find.
Blame it on the glitch. Yeah, well, reporters don't care.
This kind of
okay. Here's a song idea for something.
No. Oh, I was going to keep going with internal passwords.
I'm not going to interrupt you. I was going to tell the song idea. Find this song. It's Michael Jackson. Blame it on the boogie. To blame it on the glitch.
See, but you can't fit that in there.
I think it could be done.
It could be blame it on the buggy.
No, then it just sounds too similar.
I can hear.
You'd have to rewrite some lyrics to get the rhymes right.
I can hear Sir Chris popping another beer as we speak. The guy's becoming alcoholic since he's been doing stuff for this show. Like, hey, man, I'm drunk. Don't worry about me. Of course, having these internal accesses to passwords and user data is a problem, and luckily we're seeing more stories about the horrific place that is known as the face bag when it comes to this.
Facebook is investigating reports an employee was using work-granted access to stalk women online. Jackie Stokes, the founder of cybersecurity firm Spyglass Security, tweeted about the issue. In her tweet, Stokes says she was told a Facebook security engineer used work access to stalk women. wanted. Stokes said she had proof in the form of logs from dating app Tinder. So, Professor, what more can you tell us about this report?
Sure. Well, it's been reported that this person is on the security analyst team. So they may have privileged access to information about users. And they also may have the ability to match up Facebook users to Tinder as well. We know that Tinder runs off of the Facebook API. There's connection points there. So we just don't know yet what type of abuse might be happening or if any abuse is happening. But we need them to investigate and be transparent here.
So what I liked about this story, besides that, obviously you can't have that happening, is that FaceBag already has all the analytics. They understand. They've been, if you don't think for 1 second, they didn't make this announcement about doing their own, it's not hooking up, your own dating site. They have studied Tinder to a complete degree. These guys are going to put everybody out of business.
Another reason I think that sign in with Facebook.
It's a bad idea. They're stealing these guys' business model. They're going to steal it.
Yeah, of course. And you
good.
deserve. By the way, you're running a website, you're running a company, and you have sign in with Facebook because you think you're going to get something out of Facebook, some analytics.
We're going to shoot you at dawn after the revolution.
You might as well kill yourself.
No, we're going to shoot.
You're just giving your company away.
We're going to shoot you at dawn when the revolution happens.
Now, I have a Facebook story.
Okay.
Which is another funny one because there's some ironies in here.
Nice.
And by the way, that last story, I want to mention that people that work at the NSA and elsewhere
do the same thing.
They do the same thing.
Yeah, it's been broadly reported.
How can you not do it? You're some guy in your 20s. You're horny, and so you're going to start spying on women.
I would
think about it. How did Facebook even get started? and I know a guy. Yes, and I know a guy who was running a dating service, and he would cherry pick based on all the stuff that came in.
What do you mean cherry pick? Just
he'd go look at all the women coming through, and then he'd like, "Oh, I think I'm going to go for that one myself before he gets posted."
I tell you, I think FaceBag is so stupid. If they really want to go for the dating stuff, I think they're opening themselves up to a lot of pain. I don't think it's smart. I think it's really they're going to be defending all kind. I mean, someone gets raped, FaceBag's fault. It's all going to be their fault.
Oh, no, I agree with you. And this kind of is a prelude to that is this particular clip on Facebook scammers on ABC.
As Facebook's new dating service prepares to go online, tonight, one man's warning the social network may attract more than just singles.
There are lots of victims. I am a victim.
Dr. Steve Jones says for the last 3 years, scammers have used his photos and identity to con women out of money. He says the scammers pretend to be in love with the women, ask for financial help, and once they get the cash, they disappear.
This must be going on. People stealing my pictures and using them on Facebook. I'd say up to 10 a day.
Hey, was this guy good looking?
That's what I figured you'd ask. And he's one of those guys. He's not like a male model or some, super good looking Hollywood guy.
Can I actually retract that? Can I just to be completely equal, can I say, is he hot?
He's one of those guys. He's one of those rugged looking guys who looks like he could be a catalog model. He's got the 9 o'clock, that
5 o'clock shadow.
He's older, but he's got that, kind of unshaved look.
Mm-hmm.
He looks rugged. He looks very masculine, dreamy eyes, kind of bedroom eyes. Not particular. I wouldn't say he's super good looking, but he's not bad looking, and he's believable. He's like the perfect guy to steal pictures from, because I think all women like this type of guy.
Entering executive mode.
Just want to make sure everyone knows we're in executive mode here. It also goes for guys. Okay. So, yes. So they were stealing his picture to promote the service.
And conning women.
Yes. Yes.
But he says Facebook shut down his real account because so many women complained that he scammed them. But it wasn't him.
People all over the world are being ripped off by these same frauds. We've got a really global problem.
An estimated 1 million Americans have fallen for these kinds of scams in just the last 3 years. As Facebook officially ventures into the dating world, a spokesperson tells ABC News only dating profiles linked to real accounts can be used. Facebook has a dedicated team to detect and block fake accounts, and the social media giant recently removed more than 500,000 accounts tied to scams.
And as for Jones, he still has fake accounts on Facebook. We've seen several new profiles with his identity popping up tonight. Tom.
Incredible how widespread this is. All right, Stephanie, thank you.
A question. Because I'm always hearing about, they removed all the bots. They removed 500,000. Can we still really believe that there are 2 billion people on Facebook? Which that's the number now. The whole world. It's 2 billion.
Everybody.
Bullshit.
Now, the thing they said in this report, and you can kind of you just accept it. They've removed 500,000. And you know that they're not removing them all. How many fake accounts
are there?
Or scam? If there's 500,000 scam accounts, my God, there must be millions. In reality, you can't get rid of all of them.
No.
And like they said, this guy's fake accounts, 10 of them popped up just as they were doing the report. And the guy himself can't even have an account. So not do they only have a bunch of fake accounts using this guy's pictures, but he can't even get his own real account back. So real accounts are out. Fake accounts are in.
Fake is the new. Yes, fake is the new real.
Fake is the new in.
The new out. The new real. Fake is the new real.
Yeah. Fake is the new real. It's unbelievable.
Well, Facebag also is pondering some other ideas, which one of our producers caught on the financial networks.
That's right. Facebook is exploring an ad-free subscription service. Sources telling us that the company is doing market research to see what consumers want in the wake of concerns about data collected for ad targeting. On Facebook's earnings call last week, COO Sheryl Sandberg saying that they've thought about ways to make money other than ads, saying, quote, including subscriptions, saying that they will always continue to consider everything. But a subscription service is unlikely to be a needle mover for Facebook. According to Wedbush's Michael Pachter, he predicts about 1% of Facebook's users would pay about $5 a month. Atlantic Equities' James Cordwell says it would be bad to shift some of Facebook's most valuable users in terms of advertising behind a paywall. And Aegis' Victor Anthony warns that a paid service without ads would need to include media content similar to Netflix or some other added value to be enticing to users. As for the cost, Facebook earns nearly $8 a month from its North American users from ads, so they'd have to compensate for that.
And the cool thing is, if you pay your $5, they'll still sell your information. You just won't see ads about it, because that was very clear from the report.
And there's one other thing I should mention, that at some point, you'll still see ads. Yeah. That's the old subscription scam.
That's what Microsoft did so well with Skype. You pay. There's you got to pay for Skype, and it's got part of Office and all these other things. You can't just get Skype anymore, pretty much. And you pay for Skype. I have an account with money in it, and they can still give me ads.
Yeah,
all over the place.
Yeah, that's the old scam.
Well, it's a good one. It's very effective.
Yeah, no kidding.
I was reading that. Remember, what was her name? Ellen Pao. The former CEO of Reddit.
Yeah. She's still in the news.
It's also referred to as Chairman Pao during her time at Reddit. I think she posted this. Oh, no. She asked this at a... What was this? Here, former CEO was referred... Asked Silicon Valley tech company CEOs to crack down on incel employees on Wednesday. Quote, CEOs of big tech companies, you almost certainly have incels as employees. What are you going to do about it? Thereby saying that, because we had the incel in Scandinavia who went on a killing rampage.
Yeah.
So now if you're involuntary celibate or identify as such, you're now a threat. You're a danger.
Since when and why?
Well, I don't know. Ask Chairman Pao.
And half of Silicon Valley is an incel, from what I can tell.
And the other half is exactly the opposite. But yeah. And you got to wonder what it's like at these companies. And the veil is being lifted a little bit on the Googles. As there's pandemonium over there. Listen to this report. This is from your neck of the woods, KCRW. Come on, Casey.
From Iran, Google encourages its employees to bring their whole selves to work. And we've seen in the last few months that maybe isn't such a good idea. You remember engineer James Damore's freelance human resources memo on women in tech and the firestorm it caused? But there have been more incidents. The Wall Street Journal reports the Googlers for Animals employee group wanted to bring the head of anti-meat group PETA to give a talk on how the national conversation on racism affects PETA's fight for animal rights. But PETA's conflation of so-called anti-animal bias with racism upset the Black Googler network, and Google canceled the PETA speech under objections. There are other employee groups. Militia at Google wants the right to bring guns to work. Sex Positive at Google is upset about the filtration of sexually explicit material on Google Drive. It all makes me wonder, don't these people have work to do?
They're blowing up. They're blowing up internally. The social justice warriors.
Well, it's because they don't have work to do. The guy actually he hit the nail on the head accidentally.
He doesn't even know. It's just one big algo running the whole thing, and people go in, bitch at each other, and leave at the end of the day. Is that what you're saying?
Or don't leave.
Hey, do you want to do fur babies? Because I also got some cool responses on the dog thing.
I have a couple of letters I want to read.
Okay.
On the dog thing, and then you can counter what I have to say.
Oh, I have some pros and cons. You know, I just put everything in there I received. What we're talking about here is my assertion that young people substituting having children with having dogs has reached epic proportions, and I believe it is rampant throughout certainly the United States, maybe other parts of the world as well. And I will certainly exclude the Middle East. They have a very different view on dogs in general.
They hate dogs.
Yes.
The Muslim religion does
not just the Muslims, man. Dogs. Not just the Muslims. The Israelis don't like them either, from my experience.
It's probably a Middle Eastern cultural
That's
thing.
What I'm thinking, yeah.
In rural Mississippi, says John J., I certainly do not see the young couples with dogs phenomenon Adam keeps harping on. My wife and I are both 33-ish. We have 2 kids and 2 dogs. Most of our friends have kids and dogs. We don't have crazy friends with dogs as surrogate children, and I don't see them around town. There are plenty of dog-friendly bars and restaurants around the areas, and we bring our well-socialized and behaved dog with us on occasion, especially to the beach. I'll agree with John and say that it's a phenomenon confined to the Dementia B areas of the country.
Well,
KG5ZFA 73s.
73s. Very interesting. I received
Sir
a note.
John the Brewer.
I received a note from RM. Listener since show 1, contributor, occasional donor, and I must reply that John is possibly unhinged on this topic. I live in northeastern Missouri. Same state. The town.
No, that's Mississippi.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have Missouri?
No, my
yours was Mississippi.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. Missouri. I have other places. The town I work in has less than 4,000 residents. I only know a handful of people, regardless of age, that are dogless. In this small town, it is commonplace to see people bring their comfort dogs to the grocery store. And until we changed our bylaws to prevent it, a number of our Elks Lodge kept wanting to bring their dogs into our private members-only bar. When I go to the city on the weekends, I usually travel to Wentzville, Missouri, one of the fastest-growing areas in the country that's gained about 10,000 population per census. Today, about 30,000 residents. When I saw Super Troopers 2 in the local high-end theater with leather recliners and bar service, I saw one moviegoer bring their dog into the theater, and it was for the entire movie. When I was a student at the University of Missouri St. Louis way back in the day, 2012-ish, it was routine to see people bring their dogs to class. You got more? Because I got a couple more. So I got you on the theater thing. I told you they'd be in theaters.
Well, here's another one on your side. I think kind of. But then again, I was starting to think about this because I brought up the dog issue at the Theodorbs at the Theodorable birthday party where the kid was the only one not interested. And they all talked about dogs, and but there's kids there. There's another baby at the table, and a lot of people. I remember this from years ago. There was some idea that you get a dog, and if you can raise the dog, then you can raise a kid. But if you can't even take care of a dog, why bother with a kid? And there was that sort of thinking, which I still think is in play, and I think a lot of it has to do with that, not by the psychos who talk to their dog and think it's a kid. My name is Grant, and I'm a millennial listener from Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm not sure how much more popular dogs have become, but we definitely have our fair share of dog-obsessed people. Lincoln, Nebraska being a city. In fact, my boss quit her job here to open her own business, a 2-story indoor dog park.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny. As far as I know, her business is doing well. She's one of the people that refers to her dogs as her children.
Fur babies.
My Facebook, I think, has more to do with this than anything.
Possibly.
My face bag is full of dog pictures and memes posted by my local friends. There is nothing but dog love around here, and there are zero signs that sentiment changes anytime soon. I would not find it surprising at all if this is typical across the rural Midwest, as Adams claims. He's not making assumptions. He's not in the rural areas. I personally am not a dog owner, but that's because the house I live in does not allow them.
In the morning, says Sir Colin, the friendly fat man here, reporting from Cincinnati, Ohio. Not what I would consider a Democratic stronghold. I heard you and John at the end of the show. I want to side with you. I'm a 30-year-old office drone who works in the HR department of my company. The number of young professionals who are married with no kids but with at least one fur baby is terrifying. One young woman who sits across from me got married last year and promptly, quote, adopted a fur baby. Another woman asked her if she had any plans on having a kid, and she seemed almost offended that she would even suggest such a thing. Her priority is enjoying her 20s and traveling with her husband and keeping in shape, and a baby would really cramp their style. Admittedly, her and her husband lean left, but it's becoming such a common thing within my company that the benefits people are considering adding are pet insurance to the company insurance offering to attract millennial workers. How about that? Offering to get, I can't even afford to get on Tina's people health insurance. But now they're going to offer pet insurance.
Yeah, that was another report from a city. I did get a letter. I don't have it in front of me.
Okay. Can I just say something? We had two convos going on. One was about rural Illinois, which I didn't get anything from rural Illinois, and or Democratic versus liberal versus conservative. I definitely am going to agree this is happening in the cities, but it is not, in my mind, and what I've seen, I have a couple more to read, it's not a liberal or conservative thing. But it's urban cities versus rural areas, regardless of politics, yes, it's definitely in the cities, which is actually worse for these animals. Poor animals.
Yeah, no kidding.
Overland Park, Kansas, you're absolutely correct. I deliver food part-time. At least once a shift, I will go to any apartment building, and as soon as you go in, the whole building will reek of dog piss. A lot of the millennials that live in these places don't understand their dog is not a stuffed animal or a little person and needs to go outside to do dog stuff, not just to go to the bathroom. And most of the time, they end up pissing inside the building, and the millennials won't even clean it up as long as no one sees them. This is true. There's always dog piss in the elevator or in front of it. It's always happening. Happened in my other building, too. They don't clean it up. Yes, well, check this out. I've spoken to some of them, and more than one has told me their dog is on dog Xanax, and even told me they were taking the dog to a dog therapist. I mean, can you believe this? Dog Xanax?
Wow.
So that's cruelty right there. Another one from Kansas. Adam, this is Sir Brian Tobias, and you're completely 100% correct about this stupid dog epidemic. Here in Kansas City, we had the same issue. I have a hard time not punching people in the face when I hear fur babies, puppy parents, grand doggies, etc. They're animals. You own them, not parent them, and it goes to crazy extremes, just as in Austin. I've had people bring dogs to go look at houses, not just for normal getting the dog out of the house type of things, but they can't buy the house if Fido doesn't like it. We have Emma. I'll add into what I'm sure are dozens of emails about dogs. My husband and I live outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, have 3 kids. Hope to have more. We're Christians, and that influences our viewpoint towards kids. Among our Christian friends in the same life stage with similar values to ours, we're in the minority of the ones having more than 2 children or having kids at all. Lots of them have dogs instead. Pittsburgh is a decently liberal place. Sorry that we aren't in rural Illinois. Still, I think it shows that dogs are as valuable as kids' mentality is really becoming normative when it becomes acceptable to people of faith whose worldview should affect their lifestyle choices. Take care, says Emma. And from Oklahoma?
Well, that was a letter that pointed out there may be a political difference.
Well, then you're equating religion with politics?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I definitely think there's yes, sure. But I think when it comes to religion, there's a whole bunch of things, not just, you can't say that's just politics. She says clearly it's a religious thing. Luke says, we are not in a leftist hellhole like Oakland or Austin. Thanks, bro. But the dog problem is here, too. I had a coworker tell me.
Where is he?
He's in Oklahoma. I had a coworker.
Oklahoma City.
He doesn't say that. He says Oklahoma. I don't know if it's Oklahoma City. I had a coworker tell me her dogs were her kids. I told her, no, they aren't. My own very aunt.
A better line, by the way, should be, what? You gave birth to a dog? How does that work? What were you doing before that happened?
My very own aunt had an Easter egg hunt for her dog and her dog's friends. My brother and his wife treat their dogs like kids. Hopefully this will stop now that they're having a child. I've seen them in coffee shops and home improvement stores, but not yet while eating out. Kids' playgrounds are full of dogs, and I hate it because the chance of getting bitten is high where there's lots of kids screaming and playing. I give the owners the old stink eye and tell my kids to stay away from the dogs. We definitely have people here that treat dogs like kids. So I did do a little more research into this. Let me see, was there one more that I wanted to read? Oh, there was one from Ireland. Hold on. It was the only international one. The cantankerous fuddy-duddy was wrong about dogs. Sorry. I guess that's you. Hey, John C.
For cantankerous.
The phenomenon of dogs as the new children is widespread. In the rural west of Ireland, I can confirm that people have lost their minds over dogs. Dogs have never had it so good, and it's similar all over this country, and there's dog shit everywhere. Dog owners are increasingly arrogant and obsessive. The animals can do no wrong. This is not just some noticeable new thing. It's a massive, widespread problem of collective insanity. It's ridiculous to say this is only in places like Austin, says Ed. Thank you. So I did some research on this. Also, from a psychological standpoint, and all this there's lots of stuff backed up in the show notes, nashownotes.com. Taking care of a dog is very similar. It satisfies a need within you that is very similar to having children. So that is a surrogate is completely understandable. More interesting to me is a couple of articles about the pros and cons of young people, millennials, not always specific, why they should or should not have children. And the one I want to start off with is, what was this from? It's 11 brutally honest reasons why millennials don't want kids. And some of these were given as answers on the Twitter or sent to me via email. And the top reason, or I would say excuse, is kids aren't always financially feasible, especially if you have student loans. This was yelled at me even on Twitter, that they can't afford kids. And, you know, I'm like, dogs, you know, the doggy Xanax can't be free. I mean, you may think that you can.
Well, yeah, it's true. There is expense involved. But let's back up to an earlier conversation and let me make the same assertion I made earlier. The student loan thing is a new phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Not as new as not writing cursive, but new.
Yeah.
And again, it has the same effect of subverting the culture. It is a subversive it's a subversive mechanism that has been introduced recently to put these kids into this position. You just revealed it. I didn't even think of that.
That's good.
But combining that with the inability to even write anything, so if the power goes off, you can't write, "Hey, help me, I'm kidnapped," because you can only write in big block letters with a crayon because you're an idiot. This is what's going on, and there's nobody noticing it or stopping it.
Well, we're noticing it, and along with that, also reasonably new is the whole SJW thing about service animals. This is only now coming to a head where people are starting to reject this because everyone had their fur babies, but their fur, you couldn't take them on, you couldn't easily take them on the plane. And so people came up with these bogus scam ideas. Hey, if I put it as a service dog or an emotional support animal, then no one can question me, which is not entirely true according to the ADA and the rules and regulations. And that people took such an advantage of it that now, I told you before, people with the dog on their lap in the restaurant. I don't want this, but it's because of the PC culture and specifically this scam of getting your dog on the airplane, in the restaurant, in the theater. You can't question me, which is a lie, and people have been scamming this for years. This all comes together, but check it out. The number 2 reason that millennials do not want to have kids, there's a strong fear of passing down mental health issues. That's the number 2 reason. I made up my mind when I was diagnosed with the same mental health illness my mother has. Being raised by my mother who has manic depression was scary. You shouldn't be afraid of your parent. These are the types of quotes we get. So they're afraid of passing on their mental health issues. Number 3, the population is already out of control.
So they're the population out of control is a myth. But so they're already taking, why don't you fly over Arizona sometime? So they're taking themselves out voluntarily, taking themselves out of the gene pool.
No, wait. Oh, hold on to that. That's my conclusion. I'd like to go through the rest before we get there. Because I think some of these reasons it shows where people's heads are at. So we had the number 3, the population's already out of control. Number 4, fertility issues. That may actually be going on, the stuff we're eating, our diets. Number 5, pregnancy can take a serious physical toll. Okay. Number 6, with kids comes the pressure to make perfect choices. Well, we can't be fucking up in life. That's no good. Number 7, not all women are pre-programmed with maternal instincts. Fair enough. 8, the world isn't always a nice place. You can hear the fear that these people have. 9, sometimes career ambitions take priority. Yes, they can. 10, children don't fit into every lifestyle. Okay. And 11, ultimately, a reason shouldn't even be necessary. It's what I want. Now, I also pulled, I know, the 10 most common reasons people do want children. I learned a lot about this. 10 reasons. What would you say your number 1 reason is for having kids, John? I think your reason is number 1.
Kids are fun?
Nah, that's not your number 1 reason.
You can be used as slave labor for a number of years.
Close. To have someone to take care of you when you get old.
Yeah, right.
That's the number 1 reason. I think slave labor first. I agree. Number 2, to carry on the family name. 3, just because they love babies. 4, it's human nature. 5, pregnancy and childbirth are life experiences. I think this should be number 1 for women. I think a lot of women really want that experience. 6, to let their children experience the joy of existence. I'm not quite sure how that works.
I don't know about that. That's a little existential.
To give your parents grandchildren. Yes. To embody love for each other. When I was taught human sexuality, the birds and the bees, it didn't go like, hey, at a certain point, you and someone you love very much will want to have someone to take care of you when you get old. And that's when the man inserts. No, it went something like, you'll love someone, you'll be so in love, it'll be so wonderful and so fantastic, and you'll feel just euphoric, and then you'll just say, let's make life together.
Yeah. Have a bunch more kids.
Then you'll change your tune. Now, let me just close this out. So when it comes to having children, and you already kind of spotted it there, why do we have children? It's something called procreation. And it's not that you automatically think, oh, my job is to procreate, although it's the one thing pretty much every human being can do almost without an instruction manual. Procreation is, as you say, is contributing or detracting from the gene pool. So we really have nothing to worry about. For these people, it's self-selection. That's what procreation is. They are self-selecting themselves out of the gene pool, and we won't have these idiots in 20 years. We won't have any more of these morons. So I'm not 20 years of dog piss in the elevator, I can handle it.
And I'll tell you, because of the Christian woman who wrote in, I will say that most of these people, and I think the Democratic Party has to take some responsibility for this, because these are their people, many of them. I'd say the majority of them. Yes. And meanwhile, they are bringing in a lot of Hispanics and promoting them into the culture to bring them into the gene pool. And it's a variety. It's a variegated group, so it would be interesting in the gene pool. But they're also bringing in the Catholic religion, which in the end of the day, and I use the term
you don't use it lightly, yes.
At the end of the day, the Catholic religion tends to be conservative and would end up voting Republican once they get established in the culture. And this may be a moment of self-defeat for the Democrats to be even thinking like this.
Yes, it's much bigger than they can even see. Because when I went down the whole gene pool rabbit hole, I'm like, holy crap, these people are self-selecting them out of our future. They're self-selecting themselves out. Like, oh, okay, problem solved.
These idiots, as you're putting it.
In the meantime, we would not be the No Agenda Show if I didn't have a product idea. You ready?
I'm listening. I'm always listening for this.
Now, this product already exists. It's very effective to make. We could make it even as an app. I ordered an actual physical product because I don't have a phone with apps anymore. I ordered the Dog Dazer 2, Mark II, and this is a small device that emits a 25 kilohertz tone of incredible annoyance to the dogs.
Yes, they do not like that tone.
So if I'm in a restaurant, there's a dog there, it's going to go on. It's just going to go on my keychain.
And no one can hear it.
You cannot hear it. I mean, if you had a spectrum analyzer, you could see it.
If you're over 10 years old, you can barely hear anything over 15.
Yeah, you don't even like your birthday. I mean, come on, who cares? But I think that this could be the No Agenda, dog taser.
This is the best idea you've had for months.
Now, it can be an app. We could make it an app. There's tons of apps.
I don't know if those little things will play that note.
Sure they will.
I don't think so.
What, a smartphone?
I don't think a smartphone has a speaker that can nail 25,000 hertz.
Distance will become a problem, for sure. Distance is a problem. That's why I like, just
I think you need a dedicated
device
tweeter.
Yeah, a device. It should be a keychain. It's just a keychain, and
the speaker does not have to be that big. It just has to be high quality. It can hit that note.
Piezo. And
piezo.
Piezo. Well, you say piezo, I say piezo.
Yeah,
but I'm very excited about bringing this to market. I think we should do a Kickstarter.
This may be our exit strategy.
I'm going to show my support by donating to No Agenda. Imagine all the people who could do that. Oh yeah, that'd be fab. Yeah, on No Agenda in the morning.
All right, let's thank a few people for show 1031, starting with Bruce Schwalm in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. $125 came in as a check. GR, $110.36. Lauren Smudsky, $100. Van Glitchka. Oh, by the way, GR also, that's a double happy birthday, Theodore. 5518 times 2.
Mm-hmm.
Only guy who came up with that. Lauren Smudsky, 100. Van Glitchka. Sir Van Glitchka, I believe. 100. Vasanth Dharmaraj, I'm guessing. He's got a knighthood. Van Glitchka's got a knighthood coming up, so it's not Sir yet. Sir Rick Coder of the Algos, $100. Sir James of the Mountains, 8008. Boob.
Hold on. Let me see. Oh, do not read on there. Okay, I'm sorry. Ignore me.
Daniel Warren in Boise, Idaho. Boob. And Graham Bucknell in with the boob Easter egg was the Stormy Daniels picture that was in the list.
It was pretty obvious, and I think that we only got a couple of boob donations. I think people just didn't want to click on her. She's so icky. I don't want to click her.
She is, that's a word that you'd use if you were like in the 8th grade.
But it's appropriate.
I think it is too. She's icky.
That's the term.
That's what we call her now, Miss Icky. Megan Anderson, and I don't even want to talk about her. Megan Anderson, 5885. Jobs and F Karma by the way, for Graham.
Yeah.
Megan, a birthday shout out to my wonderful husband. You're on the list, I think.
Yep, on the list.
Joel Nelson, 5518.
Wait, read this. Hey, Joel Nelson is first and my big 3.0. It's a big, scary birthday. My wife hates your show. Calls it the Angry Old White Men Show. There you go.
She's obviously a hill bot, and she's never going to come around.
And I don't consider me to be that old.
I'm not that old comparatively.
No, at all. You're a spry young chick.
Yep. Joel Nelson, 5518. Happy birthday to Theodore. Ezekiel Chopper, happy birthday, 5518. Tony Andries, I believe in Iowa City, 5518. These are 5518s, not that many. It should be more. Alexa Delgado, 5518, happy birthday. Ron Link, happy birthday from Holbrook, New York. Sir Woody of the Falls, Hippo Bird Day from Sir Woody.
Huh.
Austin Gilman, 5518. That's our birthday well-wishers and Cinco de Mayo fans, all 8 of them. Clara Adams, $55. Terry Wentz.
Ciara Adams.
Oh, I'm sorry. From the distance, when I'm like 5 feet away from this thing, it looks like Clara, but it's Ciara. You're right. Terry Wentz in Langley, Washington. I think our Langley people they decided to stop supporting us.
Yeah,
Michael
thanks.
Gates, 5280. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I did talk to Pachenik yesterday, so maybe he'll put in a call for us.
Oh, I wish somebody would. Eric Hokel in Deutschland, $52. He's a regular. Sir Eric.
He's got to be.
Martin Andrzejczyk, $51.50. Ryan McConnell, $51.05. And the following people are $50 donators, name and location. Scott Floyd in Clayton, California, which is down the road from me. Sir John, 50.
Celebrating
Robert
50
Clayson,
years on the planet today. How about that?
Oh, is he on the birthday list?
Yep.
Robert Clayson, Sir Robert in London. Paul Van Cordelaar in Ulmeden.
No, come on. It's IJmuiden. You know this one.
IJmuiden.
Yeah.
IJmuiden.
IJ is Y. IJmuiden.
IJmuiden. IJ is Y. I should know that. You're right. Scott Lamond in Somerset, Massachusetts. Matthew Januszewski, Sir, I believe, in Chicago. Todd Moore in Arlington, Virginia. Jason Daluzio in Chatsford, Pennsylvania. He came in with a check. So did Brian Watson in Raleigh, North Carolina. And last but not least, Sir Brett Farrell in Oklahoma City. We want to thank all these folks for helping us out and producing show 1031.
Was Martin Andrzejczyk on the list?
Yeah, Martin Andrzejczyk, 5150.
Yeah,
I haven't donated in a while, but for your cry for help has brought me back from douchebaggery.
Yeah, but he sent an extra thing here. He says, I have a rare kidney disease that is trying to kill me. I would like to request health karma. I've heard all the karma success stories, and I'm willing to do whatever possible to beat this stuff. Your show
won't hurt.
Well, your show keeps me sane and positive. That won't hurt either. I look forward to every show and the laughs and information it brings me. Take care, love and light.
We'll give him a special.
My name is pronounced Andrzejczyk, if you decide. Okay, Martin Andrzejczyk. Of course, I'm going to give. I just wanted to highlight that one. And
definitely.
And thank everybody else who supported this program. $50 or under is not mentioned for reasons of anonymity. And thank you for those of you on subscriptions, of course, and another show coming up on Thursday. And remember us for that show at
Dvorak.org/NA.
Let's do some karmas.
Jobs, 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 and jobs. Let's vote for jobs. You've got karma.
It's a birthday.
And of course, we start off by saying happy belated birthday to Theodorable. Also, Lauren Smutsky says happy birthday to Kason Smutsky. Megan Anderson, happy birthday to her wonderful husband, John Kenningle. He'll be 33 on May 8th. Joel Nelson is turning 30. Ciara Adams says happy birthday to Sir John of Stratford, celebrating on May 6th. That will be today. And Sir John turns 50. And congratulations to myself and the Keeper, 3 years together as of yesterday. And we never had a fight.
It's your birthday, yeah. Title changes. Turn and face the slaves. Title changes. Don't want to be a douchebag.
Title change, SirFindItClassifieds.com becomes Sir Rick, coder of the Algos, an official title change. We always want to make note of that here on the No Agenda Show. No nightings today, so step it up, people, for Thursday's show. NoAgendaShow.com, Dvorak.org/NA.
All right.
And
let's see.
wait, Eric had something he wanted us to mention. What was this?
He's not going to keep doing rings forever, is what he said.
No. The special edition sterling silver rings. That's what he's going to stop doing. So I guess you go to noagendanation.com and you can find out more. There is a coupon code. Trifecta gets you 50% off. What? He's selling the store.
We were talking about infertility and some of these other things going on. I do have a report. Now, I'm going to preface this fast foods report with the notion that the fast food companies aren't advertising enough on NBC.
Makes nothing but sense.
With a new warning about fast food and pregnancy, an eye-opening new study finds that eating too much fast food can make it more difficult to conceive. NBC's Kristen Dahlgren has the story.
The new alert tonight, fast food could be slowing down how quickly some women become pregnant, while fruit could mean quicker conception. Researchers analyzed the preconception diets of more than 5,000 pregnant women and found those who ate fast food 4 or more times a week took more than a month longer to get pregnant and doubled their risk of infertility, defined as not being able to conceive after 1 year. Women who ate fruit 3 or more times a day increased their chances of becoming pregnant quickly.
Early on, this information is just critical. More fruit, more vegetables, more vitamins. That is going to top any fast food that is full of lots of unhealthy fats.
Researchers were surprised that eating green leafy vegetables and fish did not seem to affect how long it took the women to conceive. The study doesn't look at the diets of dads.
Well, we're not eating real food. And she just mentioned, fruit is better than a hamburger. Okay, Sherlock, thanks for that update. And in the UK, they already live off of supermarket food, and gas stations are it's a real culture of buying your food there, prepackaged, pre-processed, pre-done. They just sell this poop and just throw it in the toilet and skip all the business in between. Now, Sainsbury and Asda, which is a Walmart chain, are going to do a mega merger. There's going to be even less choice. Just all you slaves in Gitmo Nation East, go buy your slave food at the slave factory. Yeah, it's not good.
They're buying Sainsbury's, selling out to
I don't know if it's a
Walmart?
sellout. Well, Walmart owns Asda. That's their brand over there. And it's not being called an acquisition, but it's being called a merger. 13 billion pound euro, so that's like 18 billion merger, which would in one fell swoop leapfrog them over Tesco and make them the biggest provider of food, or where they pass off as food.
Huh.
Yeah.
All right. So I have here's a thing on the when they had the gun NRA convention down in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It was covered, of course, as a negative event.
Well, it's a bunch of
gun nuts,
pro gun violence people.
But I thought that they gave a pretty honest report here on this network. This is the NRA protest, because what they did, they summarized it, I think, with what this is really all about.
The fight for gun control following the Parkland shooting tonight at an unlikely location, the NRA's National Convention in Dallas.
Vote them out! Vote them out!
Protesters carrying signs, chanting. Among them, parents of some of the victims of Stoneman Douglas High School. The father of Joaquin Oliver today inviting the president to his Florida home to discuss gun reform.
Spend 5 minutes of your time in Joaquin's empty room. Then you will feel what we're going through.
And Fred Guttenberg, his daughter killed in the shooting at Stoneman Douglas High.
All I think about is her running for her life.
That shooting and other massacres casting a pall over the NRA conference.
After a few days of grieving, I just decided there's just nothing else I can think of doing but to do something about this.
But not deterring its members following a speech Friday from President Trump.
They said, going to the NRA convention and speaking today, that'll be very controversial. It might not be popular. You know what I said? Bye-bye, got to get on the plane.
The defiance against lawmakers wary of new gun legislation just months ago.
Some of you people are petrified of the NRA. You can't be petrified.
Replaced now by steadfast support, appealing to the thousands in Dallas who back the NRA.
My father always taught us, guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Tonight, as the debate resting on the foundation of free speech unfolds, one side, it says, fighting for life, the other for liberty.
All right, Marcus Moore joins us live outside the NRA convention. And Marcus, you've been talking with people on both sides of the debate, and you're hearing talk of the midterm elections over and over again?
Yeah, that's right, Tom. I've talked to them on all sides of this issue, and almost every time they bring up that midterm right around the corner and how they plan to vote in the politicians who support their cause and vote out the ones who don't. Tom.
Marcus.
Maybe that'll be the final true measurement of the American population. If that really comes down to one thing, when everyone's going to vote, are you for guns or against guns? Are you pro-NRA or anti-NRA? Then we'll see what the majority is. That would be a good indicator. I would like it if that would be the only issue.
Well, the problem is you're going to have a typical midterm phenomenon where the opposing party is the one that comes out and votes.
Yeah.
So it's not going to tell us anything except that Democrats are anti-gun.
It's not a problem, by the way. It would be refreshing to have the Democrats in charge of something.
They've been in charge before.
I know, but just for the show.
Oh, for the show. Yeah.
It'd be refreshing.
It's better than listening to all this grousing.
Yeah. I had a gun clip here.
Hundreds of students across the country are firing back at fellow students fighting for gun control.
You pointed this out on the previous show. You had a local clip, and the narration went something like, it was pro common sense gun regulation or people who don't mind the gun violence. What was it? What was the exact term?
Oh no, the way they presented it was people that are pro Second Amendment and people who are against gun violence.
Yes, thank you.
So Second Amendment means you're for gun violence, and you're either for gun violence, which means you're for the Second Amendment, because the Second Amendment is for gun violence.
Yes. So this report,
or you're against, yeah.
Well, so this report kind of follows that line, and if you listen right off the bat, the pro Second Amendment students who are walking and protesting, they're not walking and protesting, they're firing. You see, they're firing at the other kids. You get it?
Hundreds of students across the country are firing back at fellow students fighting for gun control. Senior Will Riley
That's pretty good, isn't it?
I think that's clip of the day.
That
was a good catch.
Yeah, I got to take it now, because otherwise, if the rest of the clip sucks, then you won't give it to me. So I got to take that.
That's true.
Clip of the day. I'll take it. All right, let's go back to it again.
Back at fellow students fighting for gun control. Senior Will Riley organized this week's pro-Second Amendment school walkouts.
This whole idea that the young people are actually anti-gun, that it's just not true.
In rural Wisconsin, 15-year-old Matt Schenecker is in a legal battle with Marcus Ann High School over these T-shirts. This one showing guns and a grenade.
But every year we go out hunting and to the range. It's enjoyable.
His parents, Brian and Pam, say their family hobby is being used against their son, and he's being harassed by some classmates.
They just said something like, you could be a next school shooter, maybe.
Matt says he's been wearing the shirts all year, but it was only after the Parkland school shooting in February that the school's principal sent home a letter telling Matt to change the shirt because it was inappropriate. When Matt refused, he was moved to this cubicle for 2 days.
When he says, well, your son's T-shirt's promoting violence, I said his T-shirts celebrate diversity.
In April, Matt filed
I think both sides of that argument are stupid.
Wow.
What to say he's promoting violence, that's the counter argument, and the pro argument is, no, it's diversity. Good one, Mom.
T-shirts promoting violence. I said his T-shirts celebrate diversity.
In April, Matt filed a lawsuit alleging that there are no school rules explicitly banning wearing clothing that depicts firearms and that doing so violated his freedom of expression. John Monroe is Matt's lawyer.
Again, the issue here isn't really a gun issue. It's a speech issue. And, if Parkland had never happened and...
But it is a gun issue.
Matthew, you hear that? But it is a gun issue. No, it's about a T-shirt, lady.
Well, I don't think it is. It's a speech issue.
Matt's lawyer points out that Marcus Ann High School allowed students to participate in school walkout activities supporting gun control. He is being paid by Wisconsin Carry, a pro-gun group, and Jeff Matt's school and its attorneys declined to comment on this case.
It's child abuse. And they're the ones...
Who's this reporter?
Oh, I forget. But you want to hear some really cool social justice warrior crap going down at school? Listen to this report from New Jersey.
After cheerleading tryouts back on April 13th.
It's about cheerleading tryouts in, and for those of you who don't know, who don't live in America, in high school, and I only witnessed this a little bit because of my moving around, but your team has cheerleaders, and your cheerleaders try out for these. And the girls that I knew, man, they were every day after school. They were on the field. They were practicing. They were doing their kicks and their things. And it's something you have to work at to get into.
After cheerleading tryouts back on April 13th, cuts were made as usual, as has been happening every year at this school. However, when one parent complained that their child was missing out because they were cut, we've learned that the athletic director decided to change the policy. Now, under the new rules, everyone makes cheer team. Well, as you might imagine, some of the girls who made the squad are not too happy about the change in policy because they worked so hard to make this team. Now, 10 of those cheerleaders, actually backed by their parents, came out here tonight to ask the Board of Education to reverse this policy so that girls are forced to earn their spots through hard work. Now, these parents tonight tell us they have sent letters to the principal and AD complaining about the new policy, at which point the principal threatened to disband cheer altogether, saying it's not a sport. So now these teens, plus their parents, are taking their case before the Board of Education.
Now that I tried my hardest and everything's going away, all because of one child who did not make a team and their parent complained. So now all my hard work has been thrown out the window.
I love these children. Ah! She's just as triggered as the rest of them. This is great.
All my hard work has been thrown out the window.
Now, in a statement, the board told us the following. In order to facilitate a more inclusive program, the alignment between the various cheerleading squads would be modified to allow all interested students to be able to participate. This decision was made in the best interest of all students and was made to be as inclusive as possible.
Another fine American institution ruined.
They usually have a mechanism for this, and they have the cheerleader, at least when I was a kid.
Yeah.
They would have the cheerleaders who were the ones that were the athletic ones that could jump and tumble and throw themselves in the air and all that sort of thing, and they were the best looking, good looking women. And then there were the pom-pom girls.
Yes.
And there was tons of pom-pom girls because there was just pretty much everyone else who wanted to do something. And they weren't the cheerleaders, they were the pom-pom girls, and they were running around with pom-poms, and they didn't really have any routines or did anything.
They just bounced their pom-poms.
So why don't you just use a tiered system and then let everybody in at the bottom tier? What's the big deal? Why would they bump? If I was the cheerleaders, I would have said, okay, the ones who are actually good cheerleaders that could compete on a national scale, and they do have competitions, just quit. And let all the other crazy girls just be the cheerleaders. It'd be an embarrassment.
Yeah, but everybody has to win. This is about whose children is more victim. I don't know what it is. Yeah. Hey, very good. You nailed it. And by coincidence, I have another cheerleader clip. In this case, it's from professional cheerleaders, all kinds of crap going on.
Oh, there's a lot of crap going on with them. They're getting, it's
cheerleader
they finally
month.
got a clue.
You have Shark Week. It's cheerleader week on the No Agenda show. Now, there's something funny about this NPR clip, which hopefully you'll identify.
Washington's NFL team is embroiled in another scandal. This time it does not involve the team's name, which it's NPR's policy not to mention.
What?
Yes, because it's
heaven
racist.
forbid.
It's racist. It's racist.
It's the Redskins.
It's the Redskins. But the clip gets so much better.
Washington's NFL team is embroiled in another scandal. This time it does not involve the team's name, which it's NPR's policy not to mention. It involves the team's cheerleaders. In the New York Times.
Why?
Because
Why
it's
is there
racist.
The policy? Where's the policy?
It's racist. Well,
that's the name of the team.
NPR policy on Redskins. Let's look it up. That's a good question. I should have.
I mean, all the big news outlets call them the Red. Call them what they are.
Well,
unless they get changed, unless a court case comes out, that's the name of the team.
Which outlets are not calling the Redskins the Redskins? Here is a list. The Redskins' hometown paper, the Washington Post.
Of course.
Its editorial board announced that the nickname would no longer appear on its op-ed pages.
It's not the nickname. It's not a nickname. It's the name of the team. The San Francisco 49ers, the 49ers are not a nickname. The Niners would be a nickname. You call them the Niners or the Golden State Warriors. They call them the Dubs for WWW.
Yeah.
But they're the Warriors. The Warriors, the name Warriors is not a nickname. So right away we have a problem.
Changing field, a new guideline on what to call that Washington football team. This is from NPR. And so NPR is pulling back on... Oh, wait. I guess so. That's how it starts. And so NPR is pulling back on using the name of the Washington football team after all. 7 months after NPR editors officially declared that they would continue to use the team's name in news reports, Mark Memmott, the Standard's editor, issued this guidance. Would you like to hear the guidance?
I'd love to.
NPR News does not plan to prohibit the full team name. The team's name is the name, and our job is to report on the world as it is, not to take a position or become part of the story. But our policy on potentially offensive language states that, quote, as a responsible broadcaster, NPR has always set a high bar on the use of language that may be offensive to our audience. Use of such language on the air and online has been strictly limited to situations where it is absolutely integral to the meaning and spirit of the story being told. Now, they have a lot of guidance here. Let's see if there's one that makes sense.
Okay, well, let me stop. You don't have to go any further. I want to mention something about what you played as a clip.
Well, I haven't even finished the clip.
They could have easily reported this saying the Washington football team, or the professional football team that.
No, here's the guidance, John. Here's the guidance. When we do need to mention it, we can usually refer to it simply as Washington or the team once we've established that we're talking about the city's NFL franchise.
Fine. That's exactly what you could have done in that clip. But the woman had to say, she had to do virtue signaling.
Yes.
She had to say in that clip, oh, and we can't say the name because we're above it all.
Now the clip.
Washington's NFL team is embroiled in another scandal. This time it does not involve the team's name, which it's NPR's policy not to mention. It involves the team's cheerleaders. In the New York Times, some of them anonymously describe a 2013 trip to Costa Rica. They say they had a topless photo shoot while a group of sponsors, all men, looked on, and then an allegedly mandatory night out with some of those sponsors. There was no sex involved, but the women say they felt as if they were being, quote, pimped out. We're joined now by New York Times reporter Juliette McCurr. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
None of the cheerleaders were named in your story. How come?
They've signed a confidentiality agreement with the Redskins, so frankly, they were afraid that they would be...
She uses the term, she does use the journalistic term, how come?
But she said Redskins.
Oh, yeah, she did. You're right.
That was the best part. You're listening.
Preoccupied with your usage of how come.
You're deconstructing the language. Oh, man. It must be fun to watch.
Back it up, play it
TV
again.
with you.
The cheerleaders were named in your story. How come?
They've signed an...
How come? That is an interesting question, though. How come? That's a nice question.
Yeah, how come?
How come? What's up? Hey.
The word you could use that would maybe be shorter and make some sense. How about using the word why?
The cheerleaders were named in your story. How come?
They've signed a confidentiality agreement with the Redskins. So, frankly, they were afraid that they would be sued. What are the requirements to be a Washington Redskins cheerleader? In the contract, it says, obviously, you've got to cheer on game day, you meet sponsors, you have some outside appearances, and but what was evidently unsaid was that these women would be mandated to go out with sponsors and entertain them.
As you've reported on this and other questionable treatment of NFL cheerleaders, have you seen any signs of change either from the teams or from the cheerleaders themselves?
With the women I've talked to, they were so relieved that their story was finally out there, that people would listen, that they felt emboldened enough to say, you know what, I went through this experience in Costa Rica. I felt like I was an escort, and that only now that they realized that they could say it and people would listen and really care.
All right. We didn't even get the gist of the story, which is women being abused by assholes.
Yeah.
That's pretty much that very short story. Hi, I'm Adam Curry here for NPR. We don't use the R word, but women are being abused by a-holes. I suspect that in practice, NPR will rarely, if ever, use the R word again. Or it will be couched in some way. What we are witnessing is a shifting media consensus on how to define and use a word with racial implications.
How come?
We American journalists like to insist that it is not our responsibility to decide on what facts to report. We report, you decide, goes the saying. But that is true only to a point. As NPR's own code of ethics states, for a smart analysis on how the news media arrives at an unstated consensus on something, blah, 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 blah. Okay, whatever, fine. You know, you're not going to have much of a radio station left if you keep removing words. It's going to be, hi, welcome to NPR. R word. You won't be able to say anything.
Well, talking about Native Americans, let's play the Colorado State incident, which is in a funny way related.
Another incident at Colorado State University is raising questions. 2 Native American teenagers say they were reported to the police because of their race. Nikki Batiste has the story.
Can you put your hand in your pocket, please? Thanks.
A questioning and pat down by police is not what these brothers expected when they signed up for a campus tour at Colorado State University. But a mother on their tour called campus police and said Thomas and Lloyd Gray, who joined the group late, were wearing strange clothing and made her feel sick.
One of them has their left hand in his oversized sweatshirt the whole time. And it's probably nothing. I'm probably being...
I can't hear. What's she saying? What do they have? What are they wearing?
One of them had his hand in his sweatshirt all the time. And they had T-shirts on, from what I could tell you, as a sweatshirt, and on the emblazoned across was some sort of like graffiti that was you couldn't read, which is typical.
Mm.
There wasn't anything going on.
Oh, okay.
This woman was just freaky.
All right.
Late were wearing strange clothing and made her feel sick.
One of them has their left hand in his oversized sweatshirt the whole time. And it's probably nothing. I'm probably being completely paranoid with just everything that's happened. They're probably fine and just creepy kids.
Are they white males?
I think they're Hispanic, I believe.
According to the police report, the caller, a white female, told police the 2 boys who are Native American were laughing and keeping to themselves and did not seem to be interested in the tour. After showing the campus police an email confirmation for the tour, they were let go. That's when they called their mother, Lorraine Gray.
Then I get a frantic phone call from Thomas saying, somebody called the police on us because we were quiet.
According to the police report, Lorraine then called CSU and said she was upset and felt that her boys were being racially profiled. She says her son Thomas, a musician, dreamed of going to Colorado State University, and now she has a few words for the woman who called police.
I hope this never happens to your child, and I hope that you learn a lesson about judging a book by its cover.
Colorado State University's president said in a statement that people of all races, religions, gender identities, and appearances belong here. The school says it has reached out to the boys and their mother to offer a VIP campus tour, but so far, Rena, the university says the family has not responded.
Okay, Nikki Batiste, thank you very much, Nikki.
Yes. Very important reporting. Thank you. It's very important.
Lame story.
In lieu of an OTG report, little something I picked up from Ray Kurzweil. Now, he's the... actually, Kurzweil, first he developed instruments, right? Keyboard, the synthesizer, and had a company with Stevie Wonder. I remember that.
I don't remember that, but it could be.
Yeah, and then, I think he's working at Google now on their Gmail AI.
Could be.
I don't use Gmail, but does it have a... apparently, it now supplies you with a suggested reply when you hit reply.
I've never seen that.
No, so it may not be rolled out to you yet or at all. But here's he's an important guy at Google. Here's his basic stance on your smartphone.
When I say that your smartphone is an extension of you and that you can't do your work without it, and if you leave it at home, you can't really function fully intelligently. People really accept that today. Even just a few years ago, people that did not seem realistic. That seemed like a very futuristic concept. It's already happened. We're already dependent on this technology. Nobody can do their work or get their education without these brain extenders we have now.
Brain extenders.
Yeah, that's what the desktop computer was called during its early era.
Yeah, but now, this guy is all in on the wetware concepts. Like, you can't learn, you can't do your job without your brain extender.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be Kurzweil.
Google. I'm just calling it Google now.
Well, I'm in a total disagreement with these theses, but okay.
Oh, I'm in disagreement too, but I am pretty sure that what he said is true. People believe that. Oh, I can't live without my smartphone.
He's one of the guys behind the singularity.
Yeah, that's singularity. Yes, that's the integration. That is the wetware integration of the human being and machine, and it's already kind of here. He must be jizzing.
Well, I'd say you calling the phone anything
the brain extender.
Any of this is nonsense. If you want to believe it's true, fine. But
I'm not saying.
No, I'm
that.
not saying you. I'm saying you to the audience.
Oh, okay, all right. No, our audience doesn't believe that.
Of course not.
And I'm living just fine without it. I love it. I love it so much. Except I see all the damn people with their phones and their dogs. But otherwise, I'm trying to make that into a fun game for myself.
When you go into the hallway of your building, yell, "This place smells like dog poop."
No. I'm just going to hit my no agenda dog Dazer and walk down the hall.
Dog.
And it's sad because I love dogs. I have no problem with dogs. I love
we know
most animals. But I really despise these people who are invading my space. I don't want the dog hair everywhere. I don't want the piss in the elevator. I don't want dog hair in the restaurant. I don't want it. I'm going to have to become vocal and an a-hole. Darling, you're warned. Tina's never going to want to go out with me now.
No, she's not. She probably feels the same way.
She does. But that's why I think instead of, making a scene and getting into all kinds of, I don't like scenes. I don't want to be an aggressor. I just want to make the dog whimper. And it'd be better if it would be very, I think, well, somebody knows about this. Do you have to have a variable pitch, a different frequency? So the dog, because I don't want to hurt the dog, but if I can make him bark, that's cool. If you're in a restaurant and people got their damn yapper. It's not going
to hurt the dog. It's just within his hearing range. It's just that it's an unpleasant sound. I mean, if they couldn't hear that sound,
yeah, I want to make him bark.
Some dogs may have been trained to bark if they hear that.
Oh, okay.
That'd be cool. Get the dog barking all over the whole place starts barking for no good reason. Well, you just sit there casually eating your spaghetti, twirling your fork, loading it up with the spaghetti and the sauce, and just shoving the whole thing in your mouth, chuckling to yourself.
Here's what I'm going to do. It arrives tomorrow with the Amazon Primes. And I'm going to take my recording device. I'll sit in the lobby of the building. Then I will quietly narrate. I'll just sit in the lobby, on the couch. And every dog that comes in, I'm going to hit it. And we'll see what the reaction is. I've got a petri dish here.
Okay, well, we'd be interested because it's possible that the thing doesn't work.
I read the reviews. This one seemed to have the most positive results, even through offense.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because there's lots of people who get these things because they hate their neighbor's dog. It's like, hey, can I make him shut up? So we'll see.
Huh. No, yeah, here's what I would predict. There will be legislation against these devices.
Ooh. I was surprised that
this is what would happen to our business once we got the thing going.
Yeah, we'd be rocking and rolling. We'd
be legislated out of business.
I'm surprised that there's apps on the certainly on iOS on the Apple iPhone store thing, the App Store, where you can, and it has like train your dog, and then there's one like piss off dogs. There's a lot of dog hate. Yeah. If you look at the apps, there's some of them are built specifically to pester animals, pester your dog, pester your cat. I can't believe those are allowed in the iTunes store, in the App Store.
Yes. Well, they obviously hate dogs at Apple.
Mm.
They're cat people.
Yeah,
think about it, they probably are cat people.
Could be. Let's see. The only other thing I'll be working on, there's not much to work on. We finally got some footage from Mandalay Bay from the Vegas massacre.
Yeah, I saw that.
Now, the thing that I noticed immediately and other people have picked up on is when it's very different from the narrative we've heard about how they go in, where was I didn't see a body, and the windows appeared to be closed and not broken. So I'm not quite sure what body cam footage this was, but the windows don't, there's no curtains flowing outside like you saw in every other outdoor video. There's no noise. There's no noise.
The whole thing, let's face it, we're just being bamboozled.
Not even in a good way.
No, they can't even. They're incompetent.
They're just throwing some stuff up. They'll eat it. No one will ask any questions.
I have 2 clips left.
All right,
that I will play.
All right.
There were, let's see, a minute. One of them is a little long, though. Maybe I should put it off. This is Mandy Patinkin, who is a very famous and very sensitive man, a good singer, Broadway guy.
Yes, he's a Broadway. I know him as a Broadway guy.
Famous actor, very talented. It does Homeland on HBO, which is, I didn't realize until I heard him talking about it, is actually pretty much a CIA-written show.
I've only seen it once, and you didn't realize that? Come on.
Well, I mean, I thought it might have some input, but it sounds to me as though they're just writing it. And then I heard from a guy who really knows his stuff, and he says to me, the one thing about CIA field agents is they all think they can seduce anybody. That's kind of what their thing is.
Well, you know what Pachenik told me? He says, in the CIA, the mantra is, if you can't seduce a woman, you can't seduce a country. So it's kind of like built into their entire ethos. You got to be able to do that.
So I'm thinking Mandy Patinkin, liberal, progressive, Democrat, the whole 9 yards, was seduced by the CIA. And now, if you listen to these 2 clips.
Oh, interesting thesis.
He's just promoting the CIA. And then with the kicker, now I know this is a little long, but let's play the clip 1, Homeland CIA clip.
To do many of the individuals, the highest up individuals in the intelligence institution that I've had the privilege to meet and get to know, have literally said to me, one guy in particular, I don't want to mention names, but he said, I was brought up in a moral, ethical tradition, a highly moral, ethical tradition, a religious family, as many of the individuals come from that background. He said, but in the intelligence business, you also have to marry it with making choices to protect your country. And sometimes those are very difficult choices. And this one individual said to me the other day that he teaches young cadets, young recruits who are coming into the intelligence system, whatever part of the system they're coming into. And he says, you have to realize mistakes that we've made as an intelligence agency, like Guatemala in '54.
Wait, is this Mandy Patinkin?
Yeah, and he's talking fast.
Yeah, what is the setting of this? Because
I'm sorry. This is on the Colbert Show.
Okay,
of
gotcha.
all shows, and he comes on and he just launches into this to the point where Colbert actually cuts him off and says, "We got to go."
Yeah, this is not interesting. Although it's fascinating to me.
I think it's interesting to our audience because you're going to hear a guy who's like a liberal, progressive. The kind of guy that should not be saying any of this, but he's all in.
Like Iran and the long-term effect of those mistakes and how we pay for it, that the public eventually finds out about everything. And so we have to be very careful, and it's a different world we're living in. And I was so grateful and my wife was grateful, and my hard left friends were grateful to hear this individual who is professorial say that we recognize our mistakes. Now, people don't get to know the good things that the CIA and the intelligence community does because they're secret. And that's...
you say that, but this kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, this whole idea of, sir, that this guy did this and that, but, the hardworking people of the agency, they're good, they're patriots. I think he's kind of carrying the flag.
You think?
That's what you sign up for. You don't get pats on the back or thank yous. And many people lose their lives, and there's a wall of memorial. And it's a powerful, powerful community that have given me a great guidance and gifts, including when I do my refugee work with the International Rescue Committee.
You actually have a photo here. This is you. Where are you in this?
This is with...
It's me with some brown people.
That is with...
Now, this right here is when, as soon as I saw it, I thought Clooney.
Yeah.
Somehow he's now become one of those guys, a Clooney,
a Brad Pitt, a Matt Damon.
Pitt, they're out in the field. They're out in Africa.
Ricardo DiCaprio. Yeah.
Yeah, DiCaprio, this whole group. They've all been co-opted.
Future leaders.
They've been co-opted by these seducers.
Including when I do my refugee work with...
And Mandy might actually like being seduced.
The International Rescue Committee.
You actually have a photo here. This is you. Where are you in this?
This is with Juwan, who speaks 6 languages. My wife said she speaks 1. I barely speak 1. And we are in...
That's also virtue signaling right there. Yeah. How stupid we are. We're dumb. We're dumb white Americans.
In the Vepi settlement in Uganda, 130,000 refugees in that settlement. 290,000 in Bidi Bidi, where we went to visit for almost 2 weeks and just got back a few days ago. What is so extraordinary about the Ugandan government is they are teaching us how to behave as human beings.
Yeah, by killing gay people.
What do you mean?
What do I mean?
Who's he kidding? And now Colbert is now irked.
Because even Colbert knows that the Ugandan government, that is interesting. This must be a CIA line about Uganda.
And it's new.
It is new, because we've heard a lot about Uganda. Most of it is they kill gay people. They teach gay hate and HIV hate and all kinds of hate. At least that's what we've seen.
So something's up, and Potemkin's a messenger, and we have to keep an eye on what's going on. I should get a hold of that.
I'm going to back it up a little more. Let me just see what that whole thing about Uganda.
In Bidi Bidi, where we went to visit for almost 2 weeks and just got back a few days ago. What is so extraordinary about the Ugandan government is they are teaching us how to behave as human beings.
What do you mean?
They eat the poo-poo.
What do you mean?
What do I mean by that? So I've been before 2 other trips. One on the Balkan route, first to Lesbos in 2015. Every time after I finish Homeland, I immediately go to be with the refugees with the International Rescue Committee. 2015, there were 1 million people, but at the beginning of shooting season 5, it was an episode in a Syrian refugee camp. And then there were 125,000 people trying to get across the Balkan route to have sanctuary in Germany. Then in March 2016, the EU shut the doors, no options, no possibilities. These people are going from a temporary situation to a possibly permanent, lifelong situation in these settlements, camps, whatever you choose to call them. And so all the needs and everything are different. Uganda is the polar opposite. Uganda is a country that is about welcome, not building walls. And they are extraordinary.
We actually have to go here, but thank you for sharing with the story about how the Ugandans are welcoming people.
They're doing everything.
Oh, a little microaggression there. Nice.
No kidding. So meanwhile, he's killing the segment because of what you said earlier. He's boring people to death.
Yeah.
And he's fast talking like he's nervous. So the kicker comes into play. So Mandy hogs another minute, and this is, to me, was like the real. Oh, man, the nerve of this guy.
We actually have to go here, but thank you for sharing with the story about how the Ugandans are welcoming people.
They're doing everything. Can I say one other thing that's the most important thing I want to share?
Of course
you can edit the other stuff that you don't care about.
Okay.
So
a little microaggression back there.
Yeah, a little return. Return fire.
Well, finally the Colbert Show is getting interesting. I would watch that. I like that. It's human. Oh, gee, we can't have that.
The other stuff that you don't care about. So what I want people to know, Stephen, is people say, well, I don't have a talk show. Or I'm not in a TV show. Or I'm not a rich guy or a newscaster or something. How can I make a difference? And I say to people, you have the most powerful thing in the world. You have a vote. And use that vote.
Midterms coming up.
And on every issue, whether it be the refugee issue or any issue on the plate in your lifespan, if you don't feel that your representatives are matching your moral, ethical nature, find people who do. And
yes, noagendashow.com.
Thank you. And those people will guide all of us into those people who know the people. They will help you learn about them, support them, get them elected, put them in positions of power in our country and countries all over the world.
We are the world.
Thank you, man.
God bless you.
God bless you. Yes,
I would say I would say the CIA is in the pockets of the Democrat Party, and this is an example.
Well, we remember we had that guy, that former spook, who tried to jump in and run at the very last minute.
Yeah, right.
So yeah,
the guy in Utah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Surprise! Surprise.
Come on, guys. Support the show.
Yeah. Come on. What are you doing?
Jeez.
Yeah. Jeez already.
I mean, Potemkin is not a good example of the guy who sold himself out.
Well,
but what are you going to do?
We're not selling ourselves out, and we'll be back on Thursday with another show in the value for value model. So please consider supporting us. Remember, Dvorak.org/NA. And I am coming to you from downtown Austin, Texas, still the capital of the Drone Star State, here in FEMA Region 6 on the governmental maps in the Cludio in the 5x9 common law condo. In the morning, everybody. I'm Adam Curry.
And from northern Silicon Valley, where the Zephyr went by earlier, I didn't mention it, but they had like 10 of these mail cars hooked into this thing. It was the weirdest configuration I've ever seen. I'm sure people are fascinated by this. I'm John C. Dvorak.
Until Thursday, adios, mofos! And I need a taxi. Cab, something.
Taxi!
Quote, the behavioral addiction of smartphone use begins forming neurological connections in the brain, and they've come up with their own name, and they call it phoneliness.
Let me tell you about it's been since you've been gone. Let me tell you about it's been since you've been gone. I once had friends, but now I'm alone. I'm addicted to my phone.
What? Phoneliness. Instead of loneliness.
Phoneliness?
Instead of loneliness, they call it phoneliness.
Phoneliness.
Phoneliness, yes.
Phoneliness is just a word, so I've been told. Phoneliness is just a word, it's got a hold. People make shit up, it seems. Am I addicted to my screen? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, please.
What a day. What a beautiful day. And our country is doing very well.
I could not go to the President of the United States and say, take 2 days off to get ready for that.
What a day, what a beautiful day. What a day, what a beautiful day.
Day in and day out, day in and day out.
What a day, what a beautiful day. What a day, what a beautiful day.
There's no evidence of any of the things you're talking about.
What a day, what a beautiful day. What a day, what a beautiful day.
Day in and day out, day in and day out.
What a day, what a beautiful day. What a day, what a beautiful day.
And screw the whole thing with poor little Hillary. We got to be nice to her.
What a day, what a beautiful day. What a day, what a beautiful day.
Day in and day out, day in and day out. This is a witch hunt.
He knows it's a witch hunt.
This is a witch hunt.
He knows it's a witch hunt. That's what he knows.
Somebody they can flip faster.
But he just started a day ago. He is a great guy. He's a great guy.
What do you think? What do you feel? There is no evidence of collusion. Are you going to interfere with that?
He'll get his facts straight.
Any collusion? There is no evidence of collusion. Any collusion?
What a day, what a beautiful day. What a day, what a beautiful day.
Day in and day out, day in and day out.
What a day, what a beautiful day. What a day, what a beautiful day.
Units maxed out at 250 square feet.
Find this what?
Fascinating.
Include a private units
and it's growing.
250 square feet.
The way the culture has shifted.
Fired by an Omaha police officer. Dion's family now suing the city of Omaha.
Bluntly, being virgins.
Exactly what happened, and the fact that Mr. Dion was caught in
autistic spectrum
through no fault of his own.
Suspect armed with a pellet.
250 square feet.
Adding an opioid, Percocet.
Unethical person I have ever drinking.
People can connect more. They can put their phone down.
Allegedly could not be reached when
we hope to get back.
Finished.
A new dynamic sets up.
Maxed out at 250 square feet.
Got drunk.
To know new communications.
Drunk and party. He allegedly
include a unit.
A government vehicle.
Days when men made the money and women took care of the home.
Party.
Include a private.
Fault of his own.
The suspect.
Today, women are making the money.
People can connect more.
And so often women want to feminize men and make men.
And that's really what we hope to get back to.
No fault of his own.
The suspect.
Furniture and coffee.
Man can actually
also accusation and at a party.
Include a B. Include a
because when women are spending all day in the workplace, they're stimulating testosterone, which is
50 square at 250
and at a
The best podcast in the universe.
Mofo.
Dvorak.org/NA.
Oh, there's a sonic boom. Woo!